right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tech Audio Chat. I am Dan Reynolds.
And I am Aaron McLeran.
Shoot.
Mr. Shoot.
Did you forget?
Yeah, no, I need to bring my name card up. I'm Eric Buchholz.
Yeah. That it should. They come up. I think I have it set up like lower thirds, like every 30 seconds or something.
The famous Eric Buchholz.
The famous Eric Buchholz. Yeah, that's right.
There are
as
others,
opposed to
they're
the
just not
infamous
as-
one.
There we go. Here's their name tag.
Yep. Yeah. So welcome to Tech Audio Chat, where we talk and or chat about tech audio and or do tech audio right before your very eyes. Yeah. So this is exciting. This is like the first time we've got three people,
Three-way.
three whole people. Yeah.
Do the pictures get smaller and smaller the more people we add?
Yes.
We should
Yeah.
we should figure out exponential growth and then
Brady Bunch.
That's
Yeah. I'm trying to like if I'm looking up at you, Dan, there you go.
That's right. Yeah.
It's like,
Oh, I guess it's reversed. Yeah, there we go. Like something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is right. So first of all, I guess YouTube formalities. Do the thing that YouTube asks you to do. Press the things. Activate the things.
you talking
Subscribe
about
to the
last week?
things.
I heard like and subscribe.
Yeah, like
With
it's like do
the
activate
ring
the UI. Activate all the buttons.
And we'll do our part. I heard last week you guys forgot to start the stream, and we're
That's
hanging
right.
out with-
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah,
do that.
I'm we have officially started. We've even got Steven jumping in really early.
Nice.
Evening, everyone.
What's up?
What's up, Steven?
Steven, are you East Coast or West Coast or alternative coast or non-coast? No coast?
No coast.
Great Lakes Coast.
Great Lakes, Lake Michigan coast. Yeah. Yeah.
One
So.
thing-
Oh yeah. So go ahead. Yeah, we did.
No.
One thing, two things.
Well, I was gonna. I just learned today about this is crazy. Totally random, but the younger Dryas period in human history, I heard is theorized to have been started by a meteor striking the Michigan Great Lakes area. That's my random.
What is Dryas? Sorry, I'm not familiar with that word.
It's a era of the Earth's history which may have started modern or human civilization, something like 12,000 years ago, caused an ice age spike.
Oh, interesting. And
So I was just saying,
Cause-
Great Lakes were caused by this potential meteor strike, and I think it's
that's
probably,
really cool.
I think it's a bunch of BS, probably, but there you go.
All
He's from
history
Chicago,
is
Great
made
Lakes
up.
region. He said Steven's from Chicago.
Yeah,
There you go.
Chicago-ish.
Yeah.
That counts.
I grew up in Michigan, by the way, and I went to school in Kalamazoo and also Notre
Now
Dame.
that's a made up
near
place.
Chicago. Honestly, Kalamazoo is messed up. Name of a town.
Apologies to anyone associated with the town Kalamazoo.
Well, they refer to themselves locally as Kazoo or Kazoo, which is weird. K-Town. They also say K-Town.
K-Town's pretty common,
Yeah.
but Kazoo is. I mean, that's definitely owning it, right?
It's pretty catchy.
Exactly.
Yeah. Are they like, what's the buzz? What's the buzz? And Kazoo.
Yeah. No. Yeah. That's what they say. Everyone's got a kazoo in their pocket.
Yeah. Local statutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am from Colorado.
Which is not the Great Lakes area.
No, it's not.
It's very different. Where are you from,
It's-
Eric? I forget where you
I
said.
grew up in Minnesota.
Minnesota. It's kind of Great Lakes.
We have a little bit of Great Lakes there, so it counts, if you ask me.
Nice. Well, this was a great Tech Audio chat.
Maybe we should introduce ourselves to the potential-
Yeah. Hi, I'm Dan Reynolds. Oh, yeah. So for people who are joining who don't know what's going on or very confused right now, I'm Dan Reynolds. I've been working in game audio for about 20 years. It's actually 20 years. This is my 20th year in game audio, which
getting
is
so
pretty
old,
crazy
man.
to think about. I think Aaron, you and I started about the same time.
Yeah,
Almost.
maybe.
Very close to this.
I don't think I'm at 20 years yet. I'm still
Yeah.
young.
Still young. Thanks. All right. I am Old Man Dan. And currently working at Epic Games. I've been there for about 9 years, which I think you do have on me, Aaron.
Yeah, I'm approaching 11 years now. Yeah, just crazy. At Epic. So I'm Aaron. I've been in game audio since I guess 2007. So not quite.
Couple years ago.
Yeah. So I've been in games for a while. Audio programmer at Epic. I run the audio engine team on Unreal Engine, working on cool audio tech. But my background's music and physics, and I'm always trying to mess around with cool audio stuff.
Yeah, you have a master's in physics, right?
Yes. I don't know if that means that I've mastered it. Physics is pretty difficult.
That means you bailed on a doctorate, right? That's what.
Yeah,
that really means.
I bailed on a doctorate. I decided not to get a doctorate after 1 year in graduate school.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I got to at least stick out one more year because otherwise I would have wasted a year. I need at least a piece of paper at the end of this. And that second year in graduate school was rough. I spent most of my time learning crazy computer music stuff. Not most of my time. I would spend most of my time trying to survive graduate school, but my creative energy was music stuff then. So
I feel like it's really hard to continue with sort of structured education when you know you want to leave. Like when you're like, I am so
really
ready
hard
to get out of here. Like, and then it's like, but I got one more semester.
especially
or
when
whatever.
it's your second year in physics graduate school.
Yeah.
It was very difficult. It was extremely difficult to survive and pass my tests and do all of the things that you need to do. Like, third year in quantum mechanics. And I mean, it's not easy stuff to do knowing that you're not going to do it as your career. So it was pretty challenging. So yeah.
I want to let Eric introduce also himself and inform us about how long this youngling has been in the industry.
Well, I'm pretty fresh by tech audio standards. I'm approaching 2 years now at Epic.
2
years. 2.
You've been at Epic for 2 years?
Just about. It'll be October as my second anniversary.
You still just started. That's me being old, I guess. Dude, 2 years is a long time.
Yeah, I still feel new in some regards. Like time flies. Like especially just yeah. It's.
But you have a long and illustrious career in audio before starting at Epic, so you didn't join Epic as like a noob off the street. You came with lots of experience.
Right. Before Epic, I actually did freelance music, like doing orchestration mostly. Not a lot of writing music, but making sheet music for recording sessions and the whole works. It was fun.
Yeah. So did you feel like you were a human music algorithm?
In some ways, I suppose so. I don't know. Yeah, it's
be like the composer would go like, here's some melodies. Now make it work across different instruments.
Yeah. I always looked at it kind of like as a translation job. It's similar to almost like programming, where you have human instructions that you need to feed into. In the case of music, it's human players. So, but they have their own way of interpreting things the same way that a compiler is going to interpret your code a certain way and stuff. So I always thought that connection was interesting to think about.
It's an interesting analogy.
The first time I learned about Eric was actually a really fun kind of story, which if you're listening, you can go back and check out. Was a live stream that Dan and I were on about Mixed Universe.
Mixed Universe.
With what's his name?
Chris Zuko.
Chris Zuko. With Zuko, he just prefers Zuko. Zuko was on the stream and we were talking about this crazy. If you haven't checked out Mixed Universe, if you're watching the stream, go check it out. It's insane. He's still working.
It's out proper now, right? Like I think I own it, but I owned it pre-release or whatever.
But he's still working on it, and it's freaking phenomenal. He keeps adding new features. Anyways, we were doing this live stream walkthrough of it, and the music he was demoing kept blowing me away. And I was like, "This is actually legit. Sounds amazing." And it was like visually stunning and shit. And I remember like gushing about it. And he's like, "Oh yeah." I was like, "Did you write this, Zuko?" And he was like, "No, I had my like I contracted with a guy, Eric Buchholz." And I was like, "Who the hell is this Eric?" And every song he'd bring up was like another amazing piece of music. And I was like super impressed that because at the time I had used his tool, you know, and I was like, "This is really hard to use." I was impressed, but also it was like really frustrating. And I think part of it was like I knew music stuff, and like the ways and you know this because you're like an expert in his tool. He thinks really weirdly, like differently about music, like just an interesting angle because he himself doesn't know anything about music. So you kind of have to learn Zuko's way of thinking about music. And I didn't spend the time to really get into it. Anyways, I found it cool, but also a little hard to be creative in. But then I was like blown away that you were able to do this. And then later we ran into you or something, or you applied, and I was like, Eric, that sounds familiar. And then I was like, it's that guy. It's the guy, Zuko, you know. So
I think it was literally you interviewed me like the week after the stream or something like that.
Maybe that's what it was. No,
yeah, it was crazy.
That soon?
Yeah, it was right around the same time. Yeah.
Really? So then when I tell my story about memory, that sounds familiar. It was like a week old. You know? I've heard that name somewhere. Yeah, idiot, it was last week. Yeah, all right. Anyways, but you know, so compositionally it was impressive because you weren't just orchestrating; you were actually composing as well, right?
Yeah, it was a fun creative outlet to get to write some stuff and make.
I highly recommend people checking out. I think your stuff is still up there as demo content.
I did a bunch that was included with the release. So probably not all. There's probably a bunch more new stuff, but a bunch of the starter content was nice. What I worked on.
Yeah. Anyways, so kudos, good job.
Thanks. It's fun.
It's been downhill since then in your career, frankly. But, maybe we'll get back to that.
We all peak somewhere.
Let's see if I can get the Mix Universe Steam page up.
Sorry, I didn't plan on talking about Mix Universe. Just came up.
No, it's good. It's a good one.
Dan likes to have links out to things that we reference for the viewers out there.
It kind of ties into what we want to talk about today, though, too.
Yeah, it does a little bit. Well, actually, so first, before we get into the specifics of some of the stuff that we were looking at doing today was, I think this calls back to a lot of discussions that we've had both on the live stream and off the live stream about how like the user interface influences the creative workflow and the process and how you make things and how you think about the next thing you want to try to create, you know, as you build off of whatever you're making. And I'm sort of curious about, because I haven't actually tried Mix Universe. I've just enjoyed the sort of output of Mix Universe. I'm interested in hearing how, like Eric in particular, like how you acclimated to, and then did you find that there were tendencies in your output that were specific to that tool?
Yeah, I actually would try different approaches for each of the different like mega mixes I did or whatever. Like sometimes I would focus more on like the composition and like the arrangement and using the different layers, toggling on and off as like more traditional music style arranging. And then sometimes I would lean more into the Mix Universe style of how it presents itself and use it to make more like phase music or just doing weird things that were easier to do than to like try and use it as like a DAW or something.
Right.
So can you explain phase music to the audience?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I assume you're talking about my brain is farting, but the clapping music. What's his name?
Reich.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. It's kind of like that, where you have like a bunch of different layers that they might all start at the same time, but they have different looping intervals. And so like the way I had it, like if you imagine a solar system where the inner planets are spinning faster around they're orbiting faster. And as you get farther out, like the looping period got longer. And so I made like this solar system of sounds that would kind of build up on itself and turn into like this layered music that would never really repeat itself because of the way that the ratios were structured.
Totally. Yep.
Yeah. I always like those kind of pattern editors where you have control over the pattern lengths for each of the lanes, and then you can get this really cool asynchronicity.
What's interesting is tying it back to what you said, Dan, originally about the interface and its suggestions for creative potential. One of the things that I was frustrated and remain frustrated with DAWs is how much it locks you into a very rigid way of thinking typically.
Yeah.
It's like all the things are lined up, all of the, it's hard to do tempo controls. It's hard to do stuff like phasing in a way that makes sense, and so something like what Zuko's is it's like a weird DAW, which if you get used to it, kind of frees you from more traditional structures of thinking, or at least mainstream ways of thinking about music. And human history is way more open and free with creativity and sound.
Yeah.
And I think we've kind of put ourselves culturally in a box, like universally. And then tying
definitely
meta sounds and what we do at Epic, one of the things that like people are always like, oh, you got to do more like DAW and stuff. Well, it's games. It's a different paradigm. We want to have some elements, which makes sense, but other stuff, we kind of want to be more free and open with how we approach stuff. But then the tool itself imposes other constraints, obviously. But that's one of the things we do intentionally try to avoid making it locked into a rigid structure. So you're kind of forced into a framework of, music is always
120 BPM.
120 BPM, 4/4 time signatures with like these rigid structures. Like you have the freedom to make any kind of music or sound that you want in our tech, very deliberately.
Yeah. Hey, Brian, welcome.
Yo, what's up, Brian? We're talking about music, man. It's Fuller time.
It's Fuller time.
I say that it sounds like maybe like we're teasing him, but he referred to himself at GameStoneCon. We had him give a talk, and he goes, "Hey, everybody, it's Fuller time." So I was like, I will say that every time I see Brian. Because I was like, that is freaking awesome. Anybody who refers to himself as like my name Time in general is a badass.
Who sees the need to announce the beginning of their time? Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Brian, it's great to see you. Definitely.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of sort of forms, one of the things I think is interesting about Mixed Universe is the sort of the pattern in space. So you have the 3 dimensions on top of that, right? So it's not just like a sort of n-length pattern editor with all sorts of polyrhythms because of the different lanes or whatever. But there's a sort of, even if it's just a visual association with the note in, or the pattern or the hit or whatever, as it exists in space.
Totally.
In relation to everything else going on around it.
It makes me, like, when you talk about architecture, like a lot of composers, music structure, and we use all these sort of analogs. In that case, it like literally is architecture. Visually, it's like you're building buildings out of sound,
Yeah.
Actually, it reminds me, did you ever watch this old, it's like early days of the internet. I'm betraying my age, but there's this old YouTube clip. I'll see if I can share it so Dan can share it because I'm referencing it. I'm not going to look now, but there's this really cool visual of John Coltrane, Giant Steps, where the music plays and it literally builds a building from the sort of musical structure of Giant Steps. It's one of the coolest things that I was like, I remember, young 20s, early 20s me was like blown away by this thing. And I was like, it's music structure in jazz, and it's so cool. And I'll see if I can find it and send a link to y'all. But
yeah, that'd be cool. I have not seen that one.
I love this
I would have remembered that.
You don't think you've seen it?
I haven't seen it. No, I haven't seen it.
Maybe here. Let me. Maybe I'll find it if it comes up again. Oh shit! I found it like right away.
Do you want to?
Yeah, actually, this could be a fun thing. Briefly, just so you can see the reference. We're gonna practice sharing my screen. Would you mind? Is that cool? And we can.
Yeah, are you ready to
Yeah,
switch over? Okay.
Yeah. I'll.
You were not ready for me to switch over.
Oh, yeah, I'm ready now.
There you are.
Is it working? Do you see it?
Yeah, we see it. Yeah.
So we don't have to watch the whole thing, but this is, I don't know how old this. Oh, from 2001. Did I share up my audio? You hear audio?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can hear it.
Okay. So, come on, hurry up. Do you hear Giant Steps right now?
Yep.
So, I love this so much.
Yeah.
So the song form finishes the whole building, and then the improvisation is like filling it in.
Nice.
I love this kind of shit, like music visualization. So you've never seen this before?
Can we like share we'll share the video link and then sorry, I just don't I am wary about copyright strikes on the video, so
yeah, totally get you. But anyways, pretty cool though, huh?
If you link I can post the link in the chat and so people can watch the whole thing.
Yeah. I stopped sharing by the way.
Sorry, I don't want to. I don't. Yeah, I'm just wary about like songs. Like as soon as it's recording, like it's like okay, they're coming.
Yeah, there you go. Now we're struck down.
Dan's like screaming over the top
what's
of the
funny?
music.
I got slapped really early on this. So a long time ago, I had a video that started hitting like 30. I have like 30,000 views on it, whereas like my channel had like 30 subscribers at the time, and. It was because I was demonstrating a granular synth VST.
Yeah.
And the person who made the granular synth VST packed in sample that they didn't own.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I got slapped with a copyright strike, and I went to him and I was like, hey, I'm just demonstrating
well, I'm
VST
sorry if you get a copyright strike. No, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. It'll be exciting. This is exciting new frontier for Dan.
What the hell? You're ripping off John Coltrane, man. Shit.
You're just sharing that music. I love John Coltrane. I really do.
Yeah. Anyways, that was a throwback. That was 24 years old, man. Jeez. Like, when that came out, 24 years before that, let me see if I can calculate. It's in the 70s, right? That's insane.
Huh? Sorry. When you were 24 years old?
No. This is the kind of thing you start doing when you're in your 40s, by the way. You start like going like, Jesus, 20 years ago, when I was in my 20s, that was like the 70s. You know, like you do this sort of like weird, you know what I'm saying? Like you really.
Oh, I know. I still think of the 70s as 30 years ago. So
I know.
It's permanently 30 years ago. I don't know what happened.
Yeah. Yeah. 2000 was only like a couple years ago. Right? Okay. We got a request. Talk about surround mixing and surround.
It just works.
Just do it, man.
It just works. Yeah. Brian's making demands. It really is Fuller time.
All caps. I'm imagining he goes talk about mixing and because he puts it in caps. Surround natively in Unreal.
Yeah. Steven liked the video. So there you go. It also sounds good.
Oh, which one? The
Coltrane, yeah.
It's a good solo. Giant Steps is a reasonably good song.
There was actually a really great sort of editorial on video editorial, whatever, video essay on Giant Steps and the sort of challenges that it poses to like performers and why it's kind of like a one of those milestones in like a jazz performer's sort of repertoire.
You're supposed to, if you're not a real jazz musician unless you can play Giant Steps. Yeah. I have practiced it endlessly. I still don't think I'm very good at it, so I'm not a real jazz musician.
But you have mastered the circle of fifths.
I do. I'm good at the circle of fifths.
Yeah.
It's true.
Secondary
I know all 12
dominance.
keys. I know all the keys.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Brian, just it just works. I don't know what to tell you.
I think there's nothing unique about surround mixing, I would say. It's actually a good question. I'm going to say this. When you say surround mixing, this is a good question. What do you think Brian's talking about? Like, I would say it's because I do think spatialization and channel distribution and stuff is an important part of mixing. It's about figuring out how to deal with the spatial distribution of your sound sources. It's like making a question of like, do you use multi-channel sources? Like in Unreal, we only support stereo, but we want to support more source spatialization. Do you use center channel for panning? Do you not use center channel panning? What kind of panning algorithm do you use? Linear, equal power? I think that's all part of the mix question. I would recommend equal power. Fortnite uses linear for, I don't know, who knows why. Linear panning has some benefit, by the way. It's not all bad. The one thing about linear panning, by the way, so if you don't know the difference between linear and equal power, it's when you pan between speakers, you are making a decision about how much of the source that you put in each of the speakers, right? That's what panning is all about. And so in a video game, you kind of doing it automatically, but there's different ways to pan. If you pan linearly, that means like if it's halfway through, it's 0.5 in one channel, 0.5 in another channel, then you're keeping normal, you're normalizing the volume, the amplitude, I should say, of the sound as it moves around. The problem with that is that volume perception is nonlinear, right? So how loud something is based on the power of the signal, which is the square of the amplitude, which is something a lot of audio people maybe don't appreciate. A lot of sound designers maybe, I guess, I don't know, probably not audio in general. And it's huge.
Well, it's sort of obfuscated if you work in dB all the time, right? If you work in the decibel scale all the time, it's not obvious.
Yeah, that's true, but it applies for dB or not. Like the point is loudness is the square of the amplitude. What that means is for something to be perceived as twice as loud, you actually have to increase the actual volume quite a bit. But in dB, it's supposed to take into account that if you're going up and down on dB, you don't have to worry about it as much because it's sort of normalized. But still,
well, that's what I'm saying. It sort of obfuscates that.
Yeah. You don't worry about
nonlinearity is the perception.
And that's that's the biggest reason to use dB is like if you have a slider, like a volume slider, dB is a perceptually constant volume slider versus a linear volume slider is going to be nonlinear perception wise, even though it's linear in the code. Anyway,
and linear, we're just talking about scaling the like amplitude of the waveform.
Yeah. It's like if the audio waveform is in your buffer, you're multiplying it directly. That's a linear multiplier. Anyways, the point is panning is you just gave me a good way to explain it. Equal power panning is like crossfading in dB is a way to kind of think about it. Instead of crossfading in linear, it's crossfading.
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
which is kind of an interesting way to think of it. I never thought about that before. So, anyways, Unreal has an option to use equal power panning. I think is it the default to use equal power?
We made it the default. Yeah, we did make it the
default.
Did
that for licensees, even though Fortnite uses linear. It's like, trust us, you want to use equal power. But anyways, so that's a decision that affects your decisions on mixing. Now, but the one benefit of doing panning and linear is that it emphasizes the edges. Like it's quieter in the middle and louder on the edges, which may have a surround impact on your mix. So it's like what you're looking at straight ahead is a little quieter, and so as the source moves across, it'll perceptually look like sound. If it's not going to be constantly going around you, it'll like emphasize the speaker locations, which might be something you want. I don't know. It's an aesthetic decision.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is center channel panning. That's a big decision on surround mixing. So what that means is you use the center channel as a 3D source, or not a 3D source, a speaker position to pan your 3D source to. I would argue not to do it, but it's hotly
Same.
debated. There are folks at Epic who think it's hogwash not to use the center channel for panning. My primary argument against it is that in a video game, all your stuff is in front of you. And so not all your stuff. The stuff that matters is typically the thing you're looking at, right? You're running around in a 3D game and you go, what's that? And you go look at it and suddenly it's relatively going to pan to the center channel. And in a surround sound, like regular home environment, like you go and you're like, I want to do surround sound and I don't have like the highest end equipment. I'm going to get like an off the shelf piece of shit like home theater system. And the center channel is typically going to be low powered, low quality speaker reserved for only dialogue in your movies, right? Because movies typically don't pan through center and reserve the center channel for dialogue. And because dialogue has a narrow frequency range, they save money by putting the center channel in a shitty speaker so that the left, right, and so 5.1 or 7.1, you can put your money in the surrounds and keep your center channel cheap. So home theater systems often have like a really shitty, cheap center channel and then high quality left and right. And so if your video game allows you to pan through the center channel, then you go and play on a low quality home theater system. The majority of the important audio is playing on the center channel and it sounds like shit. And so you're like, why does my game sound like shit when I go and play my home theater system? Because you're using set. So I think by default, we also turn the center channel panning off in Unreal. I can't remember, but that's also on in Fortnite. So center channel panning is also on in Fortnite.
Yeah.
But I recommend not using it.
It's not a shitty speaker. It's just a speaker with a reduced frequency presentation.
Sure. Yeah. It's just not full spectrum speaker typically. Now, if you have equal, like really nice home theater or studio monitors and it's like the same amplitude everywhere, then center channel's fine. And if you're using equal power, you shouldn't even be able to tell the difference as it moves around. But anyways, so that's my recommendation for surround mix.
Well, I think you. I mean, we can also extend this to the LFE, right? Because the LFE, in a low quality home theater system, the LFE may double as a sub, which is not necessarily the same thing. A sub is a reinforcement of the lower frequency range of your speaker output. So it's an add-on speaker that's supposed to make up for the lack of spectral range or frequency range that your normal satellite speakers output. But an LFE channel is a effects channel. It's specifically for enhancing a surround experience and is not meant to be part of the normal like program material.
Yeah. I could probably go on and on, but I think we're gonna talk about music, not.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So yeah.
Well, I like the idea of taking
it's a meandering path of if this was Fuller Time, right? Fuller Time is over. Sorry.
I should start my own podcast and just take random requests just from Fuller. He just me talking and him just prompting. That's the whole podcast.
like a Socratic presentation, or is it just okay. Yeah. So, well, what I mean, I had something that I had kind of worked on.
Let's do it.
I stood up the Metasound plugin or the Metasound node over the weekend, and then I worked late last night to try to get it to work the way I imagined it. So I was recently looking at, as I do, just sort of gear lusting, window shopping modular synth modules, as one does. Ever trying to fulfill that.
This is my gear right on the side here.
Nice.
I got my on this. You got to get
nice.
As always, trying to fulfill that emptiness inside me that just never seems to fill up. I was revisiting the Instruo Harmonaig. I think that's how it's pronounced.
Yeah.
It's a non-English
Harmonaig.
Harmonaig.
Yeah, I have not bought that one, but I have almost bought it many times.
It's a really cool idea, and a lot of really interesting thought has gone into it. And I think one of the things that I really like about there's like, if you go to, I linked to that module in the chat, but if
Nice.
like if you go to that, the like creator has like as a demonstration of the actual module is like the prototype that went out to the first buyer or
Nice.
whatever. And what I love is that he sort of goes into like his own philosophy or his own sort of ideas about harmonic accompaniment to voice and voice leading and all that sort of stuff. And I think that's one of those things that is interesting, again, sort of calling back to the idea of like an interface, but also what's underneath the interface influencing the output, because there are like a bunch of decisions that was made by the person who created the system that just sort of take over to a certain degree. So I was like thinking I was going to recreate that, and then I realized I actually wanted to create one of the sort of reliable approaches that I like to take, or sort of one of the tools that I lean on when I sort of flesh out like an accompanying harmony, which is the sort of like hanging the chords off the melody kind of approach.
Yep.
And that's something that I got more into after I read like the Henry Mancini's Scores and Sounds, which is a fantastic book. Totally recommend.
Famous jazz arranger as well.
Yeah.
Big band arranger.
What I love about by the way, as an aside, what I love about that book, particularly the strings chapter, is if you look at his like recording sessions, he has like maybe 20, 18 string players. Like, it's not a large ensemble, right? And it's almost all violins with some violas and cello. Like, it's very modest in terms of like a string ensemble. Yep. And the sound that he gets is so lush and thick and beautiful. And you don't really hear that. I mean, it's part of it is kind of a product of its time, but you don't really hear arrangements like that as much.
Honestly, that era, the like 60s, 70s, orchestral big band kind of sound needs to be a thing again.
I love it. I think that approach I found is always really satisfying in a way to sort of thicken up my string, sessions and stuff. Anyway.
And it's very algorithmic. The sort of the hanging chords that you're talking about.
Yeah, it's it's like a very it's very quick to sort of apply. And then I think that was kind of what I started to create. And I think I did. There might be some bugs. We'll find out. It'll be exciting. And then I think also just coincidentally, Aaron, you had some similar sort of algorithmic idea about generating harmonic content.
So a totally wacky way to make chords, and I started doing a little experiment with it.
So I think and then Eric is chilling.
I did not make an algorithm for harmony.
Yeah. No. To be fair, Eric did a 2-hour session last week. So
yeah, my voice is still recovering. So
cool. So yeah, I guess I'll go first if that's okay, Aaron. And then hold on, let me see where the thing is. Boop, boop, boop. Okay. Oh, I forgot to share my screen. Oh yeah, we're batting 1,000 here. Okay, entire screen. Boop. Also share audio. Boop. Cool. So I did upload a quick little video earlier, if people saw it or not. This is the note. I decided to call it diatonic harmony. Very creative. And the inputs are the melody note, the chord root, the sort of current chord root. You can select the tonic and the mode that you're in. And then a sort of voice spread, so the sort of creates a texture. This was something that I think I mostly carried over from the Harmonaig because it also has like a position system. So this patch.
Can I interrupt you?
Oh yeah, so yeah, go ahead.
Totally unrelated. Oh man, I'm feedback. Never mind.
I'm not getting feedback, but if so the trick. Yeah, sorry. The trick is to have a different monitoring channel. If you're on your RME, switch the output for.
Keep going out. I'll just wait.
Okay. Right. So, and then the other thing that's still similar is like the sort of seventh chord output, and I generate a MIDI note, and it's based off of the melody note input. And so in this case, in this patch, I have 4 sine generators that are generating my seventh chords, and then I have a sine generator that is generating a kind of like melodic bloop. It's all bloops, but these are sort of pad-like bloops, and then this is a sort of like bloop, 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 and and I've got some delays to make it fun, and an LFO on the pad to make it fun, and then a reverb to make it take the. If you don't put reverb on your synth demonstration, no one will take you seriously. So, yeah. And then the beginning is I randomly select a scale degree so basically I'm using this note array to generate scale cohesive notes, melody notes. So I provided a one of my modes. I ended up creating my own enum, which is just the diatonic modes, and then I convert it to int, and then int to the scale degree enum, which has like a million scales. But the first 7 are the diatonic modes. So these map 1 to 1. It's just sort of goes through conversion here. And then it outputs the intervals. This node outputs the how many MIDI notes between each scale degree, and so I can add that to like 72 is a octave above middle C, and so I can just add that, and then it'll just sort of sit on top of that C according to MIDI. And then I convert that to frequency, boop, and then I feed that in to my node here, and it generates a chord, a seventh chord that hangs below that melody note input.
And this is what Harmonaig does.
Not quite. Sort of. It does some of this. It doesn't. I think it has a mode which will handle. I don't remember if it'll automatically handle the inversion. That is inversion is an input that it has, and so I don't know if it has many modes of operation. Since I don't own it, I don't I don't know them all. So I don't know if it has a mode that will automatically handle the inversion, the chord inversion for you. What it does is that it has a mode where it will automatically handle the chord quality, which is an interesting thing. And so it'll pick different, like I am picking basically the same chord quality, with the exception that the chord quality is influenced by my mode and the chord root. So in other words, if it's like I'm playing an Ionian mode, and then I pick a seventh as the chord root, then it's gonna be like a dominant or a diminished chord, right? So like that, it's just going to pick the scale degrees up from that that are spit out of the Ionian mode sort of scale. That make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's a divergence from the Harmonaig, and that's sort of where I get more into my ideas around procedural harmony generation. And then I just decided to add a random spread. So the spread will basically drop notes an octave, parts of one of the chunks of an octave. So the first one will drop the third, and then the fifth and the third, and then the fifth, third, and the root. So you get this nice sort of spread out chord, or very close, or as close as possible kind of chord. So that's just randomized. And then, yeah, so I'll play it. Oh, yeah, and because I'm selecting any note in the provided scale, and I'm randomizing the chord and the spread, you get this sort of interesting wandering, I feel, quality to it, but it still sounds harmonically cohesive. At least that's how I feel about it.
Sounds mono to me.
It is mono, yeah. It's mono.
Good thing it sounds mono. What the hell is that plate reverb? What is that?
That's your plate. That's our, yeah.
Oh.
It's been in there for a little while.
Who added that?
I don't know. Miles, maybe? It's very useful.
I guess if you don't want to set up submix.
And then I can change the mode, and so we can be like,
This is really awesome, dude.
thanks.
But why mono? Make it stereo. Come on, man.
All right. I'll make it stereo. This shouldn't be too hard to make stereo. Here's what I'll do. Make it stereo, man.
I mean, you can just have it. Just take the plate reverb or do a stereo delay or some shit. I don't know. But
yeah.
There, mono is underrated. I will say, in some contexts, I do
it's cool.
really like mono.
I get it.
But it's in this case, I want it to be very washy over. I feel like I'm swimming through it.
Mono. Easy mono. Here's what we'll do. 5.
I'm like the worst backseat driver, composer, sound designer. Like it's not good enough, Dan.
Needs a rhythm. How about that drum kit you made?
I like where you're going. This is better than the thing I'm going to show, so I gotta make it like yours so far.
It's a little loud here. I forgot what I had on my mix down.
Oh, yes. This is beautiful. Reminds me of that glass harp stuff, you know?
Yeah, the sine tones sort of lean into that. It was just for me, it was a really easy way to stand up a voice that didn't sound like I didn't have to sort of sound design the voice,
Yeah. That's why I use sine tone instruments all the time.
Cool. So, shall I dig into the note design, or do you have any other questions about the?
You mean you're going to show us a bunch of C++ code?
Yeah. Yes, that is correct.
Is everybody going to leave?
No. I mean, because look at this. Brian said super chill sounds awesome. So
that means he'll stay for the C++?
Yes. Yeah. Poor Fuller.
Oh yeah,
someone complained about
someone complained about my description of surround sound. Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Brian asks, "What's feeding the note musically?" Yeah, so Brian, I've got basically this scale generator node. This has been in there for I did the from 5.0, I think, or 5.0.5.1. And this is basically
I think I had Max Hayes write it to
Yep.
my spec. This was I was like, I need something.
except that I modified it. So
Sure.
one of the things, so basically what I asked,
select the node and show people the different
yeah,
or the scale degrees. Where's the scale degrees?
yeah. So basically, this is a really cool resource if for procedural music design in MetaSounds, which is it just has all of the scales. Sorry, that doesn't blow up. All of the scales, and it's actually for some reason it's hiding behind that one.
Hiding. What? Oh, you mean the
Like the pop-up is not popping up, it's popping
Bug
down. But yeah, so the change that I made was at requesting the diatonic modes be presented at the top in order.
so was it like
it was out of sequence.
alphabetical or something?
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah. And so and the reason I wanted that was because
I mean, that's the one that everyone uses.
Oh,
because you wanted 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember.
I wanted those first 7 values to, so I could use basically diatonic math with like scale degrees, and I could get like meaningful results that way. So
the where we pulled those scales from, by the way, is this super famous thing in jazz education. If you like Hindu, Spanish, or Jewish scale, all that stuff. If you go and look up Jamie Aebersold's scale syllabus, he lists kind of formulas for all these, and I was like, let's pick that.
Well, so the problem that I have with this is that like it has melodic minor. How does it know which direction I'm going?
Yeah, it's BS. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the scale syllabus from the 70s, right? And so it's kind of the whole, I think musical scales in general are kind of BS-y. So it's like whatever, it's a thing.
Sure. Except for whole tone.
Whole tone that's the only pure
It's the only pure scale.
And there's how many whole tone scales are there?
There are 2, right? No, there are 3.
3, I think, right?
It's 2. Yeah.
There's 3 diminished scales, 2 whole tone scales.
Yeah. Okay. Had like flashbacks to college there. It was not good.
Yeah.
I pop quiz you, and I was like, wait a second. It's like
Anyway, I just care about the diatonic modes, which are your like piano key modes, right?
How many diatonic scales are there?
Whoa. Scales or modes?
Major scales.
How many major scales?
Yeah.
There are all the major scales. I mean, are we talking about like, enharmonics? Like like how,
I'm just being an asshole, but like I mean, just say 12.
I will say this. As you said, kind of inferred before, there are no scales.
There are no scales.
There are no scales.
There are none.
Your ear.
Yeah. I mean, there are scales, so I'm also lying, but in a way, it's like there aren't. It depends on how you want to play it, and music should be free from scales.
Music should be free but paid for.
All right, let's roll our sleeves up and look at code.
Let's do it. Let's look at this code. Okay.
I'm so reticent to look into this because I feel like going into talking about code.
All music is math. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All music is math.
So Nicholas says someone's voice is doubling in the stream. I don't know who's.
Oh, that's I don't know.
Is it me?
Well, Nicholas, tell us which one.
Yeah, which voice?
Dan does sound louder to me, to my ears, but I don't know if that's.
I can get farther away from the microphone. Does that help?
Yeah, maybe.
Well, so we have like a live preview, and we can double up the stream with like our internal chat, so it's kind of weird.
Well, no,
yes, I turned off the live preview, so I don't hear myself.
So the issue, this is what I was trying to describe before, is that Aaron and Eric are slapbacking.
Oh, that's not good.
Hold on, maybe maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the problem.
We have Eric and I. It's probably hard to listen if I'm sitting there double talking. There's a button in Dan's little tool. Yeah. So but if both of Eric and I are doubling, and Dan's the odd one out, he's one screen sharing. He's probably got something configured.
Yeah, what I can do, well, we don't need to listen anymore, so let me just reshare without
audio.
Yeah, we don't need to hear the code.
I mean, I do. I listen as I code. It's my own vibe coding. I put my ear close to the computer. Listen to the
It's literally just the speaker vibrations.
Exactly. Is the doubling gone? Did the doubling go?
Is that better?
Feedback, Brian and Nicholas?
Yeah, it started when I shared desktop audio.
All right,
yeah,
sweet.
Okay, cool.
Problem solved.
Yeah, so we'll just
everybody.
We'll just have to figure that out. It's probably there's probably something I can do. It's just
We're only on like month 3 of doing this now.
Yeah, I know. Well, I think something.
And we're
changed.
tech audio people. We don't know how to use this. Tech audio.
Yeah, we have the most complicated setup. So first of all, and this is actually thanks to Eric, I figured out how to finish. So enums in Metasounds are an interesting.
I like the word interesting there. They're interesting.
They're interesting. They're interesting. So
I blame Jimmy. No, the problem with enums, we haven't. See, this is what I was reticent going in. We're going to start picking apart all the problems in this C++ API. So there's the complexity is that we can't just use like reflection with Metasounds. There's some architectural reasons why and things like that. Although I think there's some regret on that. We may backtrack that a bit because this is such a pain in the butt to define enums in other cases like this. But anyways, there's some reason why it's like this, and it's annoying. I know everyone thinks it's annoying.
Anyway, just so if everyone else was in that boat, so I had already set up the declaration. Oh, I've been on a separate screen here in the middle here. I had set up my declarations macros and the definition macros, but what was missing was where was it? Where did I put it? Oh, sorry, editor side. Yeah, here we go. In an editor module, I had to register the pin type. Otherwise, they showed up as tan, just pins instead of like the cool green drop down.
Basically, what you're doing is you're making a new type. I think is
yeah. Anyway, so that was just a sort of a nuance that I was like a last minute thing, and Eric found the solution there, the registration pin. Because the Harmonix had like a nice, like isolated demo of that pin registration type. Anyway, right. So there's all the boilerplate. I got my inputs and outputs and all that sort of stuff. And so here's basically the crux of the code. So I pass everything in, and then what I first I do a and maybe like more computer sciencey people can answer this for me, but I always have to create a like.
Don't look at me.
So I like using modulo a lot, but modulo doesn't handle negative input values, and so I always have to roll my own use alternative modulo for that. But
Fmod works. Fmod is the float mod. That should support negative.
It'll take negative input.
I'm pretty sure. What is if you go into the header of that modulo? What does it say? If you right click,
it's like a bunch of template types.
No, not is that.
You're talking about this function, fmod.
Oh, yeah, look, it does. Yeah, if it's floating, it goes to fmod. But what I was going to suggest is that you could try to use fmod directly. It looks to me like it's
like wrapped. Yeah.
I guess it's I'm pretty sure fmod supports negative.
Okay. Well, anyway, all I do is my base minus the absolute value variant of the modulo, and that'll give me the proper positioning in the phase of the modulo. Anyway, so first I check the sign, and then I do that, and then I add. So I have like sort of a basically because I don't know what value I'm getting in. It could be any sort of float value, and I need to put that into range. And so a lot of this stuff right up front is I'm putting everything into range within 12 semitones, so that basically an octave. And so I'm bringing everything into range. And then what I do is I know that I need to hang all of my values off of this melody input. And so what I do is after bringing everything into range, I then I just put an octave on top of that input note, just sort of offset it, so I get this nice a full octave space below the note plus whatever the note value is. And I didn't end up using this, but I thought I was going to.
So, can you back up just 2 seconds?
Mm-hmm.
I highly recommend you using fmod. Don't use modulo. Because you got float values there anyways. Support float. Because here's the thing: you're assuming MIDI values are going to be integer, but MIDI can be floating point.
I mean, it's lowercase.
Yeah.
The thing is, anyways,
I just recommend you checking that out instead. Make a note. That's my feedback to you.
So, but no, here's the thing is, so here it says negative 2.8 with a base 2 gives you negative 0.8, not 1.2. I mean, but that's what I'm looking for, is the positive outcome.
Oh, well.
So it doesn't.
Point is that and then you do the modulo and the scaled root and the tonic. My point is like just having a float mod is, I think, probably going to be better for you.
Okay.
Just check it out.
Yeah.
And also your sign there is really weird. Like fmath sign note less than 0. What? Just it's weird.
Well, sign outputs 1, 0, or negative 1.
Yeah, I know, but can't you just say if note is less than 0? I don't know. It just feels weird to me. I'm just critiquing you. So.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Yes.
I'm just like, what the hell is this? This is all some weird shit. That's fine. Dan is a technical sound designer. This, by the way, happens a lot when we review it's like you look at it as a program and you're like, okay, it works, I guess, but it's not what I would do. So that's fine. It's fine. Your code's great, Dan. You're a good coder. It's fine. It's good. Love it.
I'm really this is really wonderful.
Feeling the love right now.
Yeah.
I mean, no one's code's perfect. You're good. Yeah. You're doing great. This is good.
My code works.
It does. It's good.
There was
mine
no.
Mine does not. That's one thing you have
vibe
over me.
Yeah. Anyway, so where was I? Okay. Yeah. So then I have this function for spitting out a modal offset. So basically, it gives me the scales offset by the input mode. So I give it a mode, and then I get these sort of diatonic
whole tone
intervals. Yeah, exactly. But in the mode that I requested. And that was just because I didn't want to make I guess I could have made like a static lookup array of like every single mode and switched, but this was just, I don't know, this just.
Hey, Eric, do you play guitar?
Ooh, no, I am pretty bad at guitar, actually. I tried. I'm a drummer.
Seems random to ask, but I have been practicing guitar scales like a ton.
Yeah.
And I'm into 3-note per string guitar scales right now. and you have to memorize the whole half
Yeah.
step kind of patterns on guitar. Anyways, I just was.
I learned open string. I never got really deep into. I just blame the string
I'm
tension.
trying to go up and down the neck, you know, on the guitar. I'm trying to get there.
Yeah. It's first of all, thank you, Brian.
Brian, you know, Fuller is so encouraging all the time. He's like the community's cheerleader, frankly, honestly.
Yeah. But yeah, the guitar is really. I always find so here's one of the things I find really interesting about guitar. We were talking about user interface and how it sort of influences the sort of.
Yeah.
I like when I listen to some music, I'm like, that was definitely written on a guitar. Like you can just hear there's sort of like harmonic movement.
Absolutely.
That just like makes more sense on strings than it does on a piano.
As I've been studying guitar, I'm learning that. I'm like, I'm almost honestly, I'm at the point where I almost want to sit down and write music on guitar first,
interesting,
then translate it, because there's a mechanics of the instrument that kind of auto makes it sound good, you know, in terms of it's like guitar voicings and guitar patterns just sound great, you know. It's a really insightful observation, in my opinion.
Anyway, so here I need to build out my roots because I don't know anything about the scale degrees. And so I sort of have to measure the scale degrees.
Yeah.
And so I count them by counting intervals. And so I build up the actual intervals based off of that. And these give me offsets, which I then recontextualize, because I did all this work up here to adjust the input data according to the scale tonic and the sort of rescaled note, and then recontextualize it down here as an offset from the input melody, and then I just add it to the melody base, and then I didn't have a funny algorithm for. I just sort of did like a little switch on the different textures.
Why do you have a namespace musician ear? What is this? Explain that.
That's my website.
Oh, that's cool.
That's my brand.
Oh, nice. I like it.
So yeah, so that's how.
Like my feedback is like random shit and having nothing to do with your code or algorithm.
It worked. No, it was good. You know, look. Hold on.
There you go. Boom. That's the one
There you go.
improvement I've done on your code. This is great. Watch it completely break. It's totally broken.
So yeah, so
it's pretty cool. It's simple. It's an interesting idea. I like it.
Yeah.
It feels a little bit inelegant in some ways because you guys have got giant enum, but also
I agree.
You know, it's kind of how it works. You know, it's fine.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I could have done it.
I don't think there's a better way.
Somewhere. I don't. Yeah.
The nice thing is that this only executes at block rate, so you don't have to worry too much about performance.
Actually, it doesn't execute at block rate. It executes
at
update rate. So what I do is in the execute, I just check to see if the inputs have changed. And if the inputs have not changed, then I don't call that function.
Nice. Good thing. Good. I don't know. I'm guessing this is better performance, but you never know on code.
Well, hey,
it's less math.
I removed one function.
There you go.
So we're good. That saved the day.
Yeah, it's probably faster to do what you're doing in the execute, but it's one of those things. It's non-linear. You know, it's like because you're adding a non-trivial chain of compares, but it's fine. Actually, this is better. All right, good.
Yeah.
Sounded good. So this worked. You know, from that standpoint.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm happy with it. I'm probably gonna play with it. Like I said, this is something that I basically cranked on last night, and then like lunch break, I had a revision about this section here because I wasn't getting what I was expecting.
Anyways, my feedback is universal. You use that modular everywhere.
Yeah,
check out Fmod if you can, because right now you're kind of locking yourself into integer.
No, I'm feeding floats.
I know, but it isn't modulo. Is that not?
No, that's what we just looked at. When I go in here, it
Oh, it does use that. Oh,
it
yeah,
goes
you're
fmod
right,
when
you're
it's
right,
not
yeah,
an
good call,
integer
good
value.
call. All right.
So,
It's smart enough. Never mind then. You can
yeah.
use binary.
Otherwise, I'd be using percents.
Percents. I
The
like
percent
that.
operator.
That's just calculating a bunch of taxes. That's what that is.
That's right. Yeah. So yeah, are there any questions about my stuff here? Oh, everyone is satisfied.
Well,
Pretty straightforward.
well, do you
Thanks.
want to talk about my little stupid algorithm?
Yeah, I think that is a great preamble. That's what we'll call it from
You know
now
what's
on.
awesome? I just realized is Dan was sharing C++ code,
Yeah.
and he's not the programmer.
right.
I'm going to share much less completed blueprint code, and I'm the coder. So this is a blueprint thing that I'm going to talk about, and I kind of just started it, so maybe we could pair code it to make it even better.
Sure.
So all right, let me I can preamble what the hell this what a
Yeah. Do you want me to switch back?
here I'm supposed to prepare ahead of time, right? All right, so let's see.
We're gonna critique your blueprints, just so you know.
Yes, let me prepare. So I was gonna share a YouTube video. All right, do you need to look at my screen, or can you?
You haven't shared anything.
Oh yeah, here. Let me.
But I'll switch over when you're ready.
Wait.
So I won't.
I won't.
Yeah, you got to clean up all the stuff.
Got to close.
Get rid of all the credit card numbers.
Yeah. All right. We're gonna try this out. All right, I'm ready.
You ready? Okay, I'm switching over.
All right, so let me. I like to watch YouTube. I have a lot of YouTube channels that I watch, and there's different composers and musicians, and I'm always learning, and I'm new. Looking for inspiration. This is a guy I found. I guess the YouTube algorithm recommended him for me. His name's Jeff Schneider. I watch a lot of his videos. He's subscribed. Great dude. Recommended. Anyways, I watched his video, and to avoid the copyright strike, I'm gonna avoid playing it in its entirety.
We have a link to it, so you can watch it in the chat.
So he has his whole vibe is like to explain different techniques of composition analysis, piano technique, but it's not coding whatsoever. There's no coding. Right. He's not a programmer in any way. But he started this video
blog post called "The Chopin Trick for Awesome Chord."
So he's like, "Hey, I wrote this blog post about how to do awesome chord progressions in the style of Chopin," and then he's like, "Hey, I'm going to do a whole video, kind of going deeper into it." And as I'm listening to it, I was inspired. I was like, I could write this little algorithm he describes in Blueprint pretty quickly and drive some meta sounds. And that's all this is. It's a fun kind of. This guy inspired me, and I'm going to go turn it into actual code. And this whole video kind of basically describes his algorithm, and he does a great job explaining what voice leading is and why it's important.
One of the reasons it works is because of how smooth the voice leading is. Sure, you can analyze it with...
So he's talking about Chopin. He actually just did a demo here. Let me see if I can. So simple chord, and the voice leading...
It works.
The voice leading is basically it's like the energy minimization of transitioning between chords is how I think of voice leading. So you go from one chord to the next, and you essentially want to like find the best possible, it's like a math problem, the best possible transition from one chord to the next with the least amount of movement, which I think is what I would call voice leading. And as a jazz musician, I like to improvise, and I think about voice leading almost at a higher priority than the right note or even the right chord. I think of like what I'm doing from a melody perspective, and then I kind of like lock into the next chord where I'm at. I kind of know all my chords and stuff, and I think of where I am melodically, and I think where I want to go, and then I kind of like quantize. It's like a mental MIDI quantizer to the next chord, you know?
Oh well, tell me if I'm wrong. If I remember correctly, my like brief look at Berklee books, textbooks, but it doesn't jazz have like a lot of solutions around chord movement to like not enforce, but like
Shorthand.
allow for these sort of subtle movements, like chord
Oh,
substitutions and stuff like that.
Yeah. I wouldn't call it like necessarily jazz. Jazz, people are like, oh, that's a jazz chord. It's just a freaking
jazz.
chord. No, it's not jazz. It's just music theory and chords. Jazz musicians have kind of just an optimized way of thinking about it for speed, but it's just music. Anyways, so he then describes with this Chopin-esque minimal voice leading an interesting approach to generating chords, like being forward on voice leading versus like thinking about traditional music theory. So then he kind of walks through this really cool algorithm,
and I'm gonna play it in.
We'll do it. We'll briefly talk about it, and I'll step through it. But I kind of want to get the gist on this algorithm.
Second inversion. So we have a D on the bottom.
So he's like, just randomly pick essentially a diatonic triad.
That's the fifth of the chord. Then G,
and it can be random.
And then B, the third. Now here's how you play the game. All you have to do is pick one of those notes and move it up or down a half step. I'm going to go with G, and we're going to go down a half step. So everything else is going to stay the same. But the G is going to go from G to F sharp.
Already you're like, okay, randomly choose 3 notes from a diatonic scale. And then maybe with constraints that they're triads, like or minimum 3 notes away, you know. And then you go next chord, pick one of those elements, randomly move it up or down.
That's going to sound like this. Here's the G major to start. And then nice. Now we could analyze that as like a B minor chord, or maybe it's implying like a G major 7, but we're going to hold off on the analysis for now. So let's pick a chord tone from our new chord and go down.
Which, by the way, is extremely exciting to me from an algorithmic music standpoint. Is like, I don't actually have to think about encoding a bunch of different chords and shit. I can just sort of use this simple algorithm, and now I've got an interesting chord progression.
Or up a half step. I'm going to choose the D this time, the bottom note.
Because I don't really give a shit what actual chord is made.
Sharp.
Just that it
now,
sounds
everything
good,
else
right?
stays the same. And granted, I'm not really using my ear right now to compose this chord progression. I'm more using this technique as a way of exploring harmony to find chords and chord progressions I wouldn't have come up with otherwise. So let's hear what this sounds like. I'll start with the G major. Then lower the middle note, then lower the bottom note.
Like, nice. That's freaking awesome. So anyways, he continues through this, and he generates ever-increasing, like, awesome stuff. You know, like, see if I can get it quickly.
Well, I don't know the chord shapes that well of adventure, and so I happen upon these chord progressions and these chords that I wouldn't have landed on.
Yeah, he actually points out that, like,
experience
using this technique, he's creating chords that he wouldn't have created if he was using normal music theory. And then after the fact, he's then going and saying, like, what is this act? Why does this sound good? And then kind of analyzing it after that, which I also find to be kind of fascinating
with this exercise, which is why I like it so much. So, but when you're starting,
I'm trying to see if he can play it, so you can hear it. But anyways, then he talks about cases where this algorithm falls apart, which are edge cases that you need to avoid.
D flat, because that will create a half step between these two intervals, and that's going to sound like this. Now, could you make this work?
So therefore, you know, so you go to these cases where, like, you want to avoid. So he wants to avoid a minor second and a major, you know. So anyways, so taking this as inspiration,
what about voice crossing? Is that one of those things that he wants?
Sure. Yeah. You know, because it's like a random walk. You know, at this point, it could like go all over the place. So, I was like, I'm starting with that. I'm like, I want to see what this sounds like. So I'll walk through this very, very simple. This is a blank project I have with very little content. This is 5/7. I was like, all right, I'm going to make there's a couple interesting stuff that maybe is worth talking about. So I made a Metasound voice. So this is like a single tone. You guys hear that?
Yeah, sounds great.
I think I have a pan on here. Yeah, so you can see. And kind of like you, I was like, I have these sine tones here, because I was like, actually, let me just make this simple. But we can start with this for now, and we can simplify it. But I wanted to create like a simple single note, and I have this demoing a note. But this is actually intended to be inside a chord. Let me save it. A chord generator. So what this is, oh no.
Uh-oh. Did you change your patch?
I didn't think I did. What is going on? That's weird.
Oh, it's dirty.
Yeah.
Patch is dirty?
Something does seem a little bit broken. Like, why is... Oh, no. Yeah, why
Try
is
right
that
click.
doing-
There might be a update node class.
Ah, there we go.
Aha.
Thank you. See?
Tech
Look at
audio,
that.
folks.
Man. I don't even know. Anyways, so if you double click here...
Aaron,
then
by the
you-
way, is in charge of the audio engine.
Yeah.
That's
True, but I don't necessarily am not the expert at it. So, anyways, so what this is essentially 3 voices. We don't have poly yet; it's in the works. We kind of have poly, but not yet at full scale. Anyway, so the idea is like, okay, I'm going to play 3 notes as a chord, and this is the idea. And I like instantiate this voice. See if I have a little demo on this. I do not. But anyways, this may completely break. But anyways, the idea for this is kind of different inputs for the different voices. And when a new chord happens on, I think I need to push new chord. Where's play chord? There we go.
nice.
Little demo of this.
Yeah.
All right, so that's just playing a chord. That's the sound design. I don't know if it sounds good, but whatever. The point is that it's playing a chord, right? And then the other thing on this that's relevant is notes. This is an input. And so these are the chords I have here. Let's see if we can push play here. You can see when I pick a different note. And then you can say 55. Whoop, not 553.
That's outside of the general MIDI spec.
There you go. All right. So the point is that I have an input where chords can get put into it. Now, one of the things doing this algorithm, I thought about doing it in MetaSounds where I'm like, randomly pick a thing and then move it. I was like, oh my God, I don't even want to even try to do that algorithm in MetaSounds. MetaSounds is not ideal for that sort of logic. So I was like, let me get a little map. I'm going to make a little blueprint and drop it into the map. So I have this dummy thing with the music blueprint. And so now before playing it, I'll show you what this blueprint looks like. It's really simple. Event graph here. Using random seeds, of course, for everything. And then I've got this little thing that's a little timer that repeats itself. So it plays the audio component. This is my MetaSound. Then I got a little thing that ticks periodically. Every 2 seconds, I'm going to generate a chord.
Can you zoom in a little bit?
Yeah.
Nice.
So every 2 seconds, I call this function get next chord, which I'll explain in a second. Then I basically count the number of chords generated. I use this down to reset the seed, essentially. So every 4 chords, I'll just repeat.
I see you're doing your taxes there.
Yep, you got to do your taxes. Make sure you pay the government here, certain percentage.
That's funny because it gives you the remainder. So
that's right. That's exactly right. So anyways, then this is how if you don't know, this is how you interact with MetaSounds. So I set the chords and then I call that play button. So I set the chords I chose. I could play. Current chords over here are your variables that are in here. So where's current chord? I am so bad with blueprints, everybody. So don't make fun of me. Where's current chord? Oh, here it is, right here. So these are variables in the blueprint, and then these functions kind of basically set it. So the key thing is this get next chord. All right. So I did this during Epic's break, so it's been a couple weeks since I looked at this. But the idea is okay. So I start with a chord. So this current chord, this is like your starting point. I didn't randomly pick here, but I was thinking about making it so that every time you push play, it's a different starting chord. This is your starting chord for now. It's manually set. These are MIDI notes, by the way. And then when I call this function, it takes the current chord and I'm having trouble thinking. Get next chord comes in here. It chooses one of the indexes of the current chord. This is the algorithm. He's just pick one randomly. So right. I choose that one. Then after choosing that, I randomly choose -1 or 1. Is there a better way to do this, by the way? What's the better way to do this? I just want to pick randomly -1 or 1 is basically what I want here.
I mean, that's a really interesting way to do it.
How would you do it?
I probably would have. I probably would. So my weird way of doing it would have been like probably a weighted bool that
And then do
That-
bool to
that-
near 0 to 1 or some shit
multiplies against a -1.
randomly. Yeah, I guess you could do that. Like just pay 1 and then randomly choose and multiply by -1. Anyways, the point is I just there's a million ways to skin any text in any code, but this works.
In the chat.
How would you do it?
How would you do it? What?
Randomly
Give
pick
us
elegantly.
Fastest way.
I mean, there's literally a million ways to do this. You know, I could make an array, I could do random choice, but this one I liked because it seemed elegant. Anyways, because it's like 0, 1 randomly pick. Anyways, it could have been an array. I don't know. Point is that I'm randomly adding to it, and then I push it into a private variable possible choice. And the reason why it's possible is that I'm going to evaluate if it's actually like going to sound like shit or not based off of the minor second and the major second. Yeah.
Rules. Yeah.
So then I take that possible choice, then I loop through each of the elements in the current chord. So this is like each of the current, values, and I compare, I guess, each of them. So the input to here, compare with that, and I say, hey, this is just trying to detect if it's one off.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not detecting the major 7th, which I guess I'm okay. So I'm just trying to detect if it's like right next to any of the other choices, right? And if it is not, then we're cool. We set it and we say that's the chord. Otherwise, if I made a bad choice, I go back and I just try again. There's a little algorithm. Let's try again randomly. I don't know. Like, so that's it. In a nutshell, the guy's algorithm written in Blueprint. At least a simple version of it.
Probabilistically won't last forever, but could.
It could technically constantly pick the random worst choice and then loop forever. So I would call this not performant. But it's fine. It's fine. Because it's just a little fun experiment.
You don't call it every frame either. So
exactly. You can kind of hear it. So here we go, because it's hard to hear with the stupid sound design. So let's swap it out to this.
Simplify it a little bit.
Yeah. Make it just tones. Let's see what this sounds like. All right. Let's try it with just that, I think.
It's like some interpolation on your delay there. Where that whistle come from?
I have no idea where the whistle came from.
It seemed like it was like some sort of like init interpolation on the delay line or something.
There's also a filter that's happening. I don't think this should make a difference because of it's a sine tone, but let's just bypass it.
Okay.
All right, so it's a really simple sine tone. Let's also start with a chord that is higher pitched.
Yeah.
What's it? All right, MIDI chord. Who knows?
72 is a C.
So C.
72 is an octave above middle C.
Okay, what's in 75? I don't know.
I mean, it doesn't matter, right?
It doesn't. I kind of want it to be diatonic. I don't want it to be weird. So
70. I mean, are you doing minor? Then 70. The 75 would be your minor third. Right.
Is it?
A fourth is 5.
And then
a fifth is 7.
Is that?
A sixth is 9.
You have 76 and 77 there.
Oh, that's not going to be.
It's not going to sound good. That's against your rules.
Yeah, that's not going to be good at all. I don't know. In fact, my starting chord here doesn't. That.
Some reset
you
value.
Kind of hear
probably.
it.
Yeah.
What?
You drop back down an octave.
Yeah, I don't know why though, but You can kind of hear the chords. It doesn't seem to be repeating itself properly though.
Actually, Angelite, I think that might be the case, right?
What is it?
I'm not familiar with this, but I feel like I've heard about this before, which I think is similar idea.
What is?
Neo-Riemannian theory? I don't know if that's the right.
Riemann?
the right-
Riemann?
Yeah. Riemannian?
There we go.
Nice.
That sounds right.
There you go. I was ready for the tonic. Did you have some other init function that's like resetting those values
I
somewhere?
think it's I think I need to put it 60, 64, 67. I think I need to put it here.
Yeah.
All right, let's try that. I think it is resetting back to the initial chord. There we go. It's weird how one of them's longer. Anyways,
Yeah.
that's probably over here with one of these things that's probably being given a longer decay.
Yeah, Brian's livening the chat here.
Uh-oh. All right. So anyways,
We're gonna get the copyright strike on that Stairway to Heaven cover that you just played.
What? You know, here we go. Come on, man. All right, let's do this is definitely gonna change the world, this approach. Let me put this delay back on.
Yeah, we gotta get the.
You gotta get that on.
Yes.
Here we
Like I
go.
said, there you go. There's almost some Beatles movement right there.
I feel like this could be a technique that one could use to actually generate something. One of the things I'd like to do is to, instead of playing chords, to arpeggiate, to come up with an arpeggiator like this.
Yeah.
And extend the
that'd be
technique
cool.
out to chord extensions in like octaves. You can go like,
Yeah.
and then like kind of do it that way, you know. But
Yeah, one of the things that. Oh, sorry, Eric, go for it.
I think we need to shout out Patrick Hart for all the kind of intervallic stuff that he generates with his generated music.
All right, let's stop sharing my screen.
Okay.
I just realized like I don't really know how to stop. Did you stop me?
Yeah, we're back to the
All right,
regular view.
All right, sweet.
Yeah.
There you go. Sweet. All right. Anyways, was it cool or was that a waste of time? I don't know.
It's cool.
It was cool. Yeah, I think. Well, so first of all, I think that I agree with the original video in that it's a really interesting exercise in exploring harmonic spaces that maybe you wouldn't necessarily tend toward.
Yeah, exactly.
And I always think those kinds of things have value, even if it's just giving you ideas or just sort of giving you like a fresh, I didn't expect that or whatever. And that's like I bet you would agree that that's one of the fun parts of like modular synthesis is that sort of yes,
exactly.
I have like a lot of experience with it, and so I have a roughly good idea of what the outcome of this knob twiddle is going to be or whatever, or patching these things together. But there is a sort of exploration, and then there's the sort of human error, like I patched to the wrong spot and then suddenly something weird comes out and you're like, wow, this is exciting and or painful. And so I think that there's a lot of value in those kinds of explorations, creative explorations.
Well, I think one of the, just riffing on what you just said, one of the exciting things to me about electronic instruments and learning new instruments is forcing your brain to go in directions that you wouldn't, breaks you out of your normal way of doing stuff. And but then at the end of the day, you're still using your own ears to like your own taste, about what you like. And
that's actually I want to let you finish, but there was something that I wanted to sort of highlight in that.
Well, I mean, it's like I'll one final little nugget in there is part, like, so new instruments, new synthesis, all that kind of stuff, but also algorithms, algorithmic music. Like it's in the space of like, you know how I love plugins that have like the random button.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
like you know, I think of like something like a synthesizer with 20 parameters. All of those parameters are actually dimensions, literally in a
Right.
space. And so a 20-dimensional space is really difficult to explore as a human being. You know,
Yeah.
you're like, how do I go from the current state to some exciting state? And I think about navigating that topology. And there's probably some island of awesomeness, and it's hard to get there from where I'm at because I'm like, I only have one finger, you know. Or if
Yeah.
nice thing about hardware synthesizers, one of the things I love about it is I've got 10 fingers and I can kind of like explore shit in like a physical way, or I'm like turning 7 knobs and shit, you know.
Yeah.
That's exciting because I can more efficiently explore probability, like not probability, but a parameter space.
Yeah.
And but with algorithms, I can on software kind of like get to an interesting spot faster and then explore there. So it's like teleporting to a topological and dimensional space island fast that it would have probably not gone manually. And then I'm in a weird sound space that then I can start massaging and getting to somewhere cool, or at least different than I haven't explored, or at least the chances of exploring it, or that it's different is higher if I'm starting from a random point.
Right.
It can also happen from a compositional perspective. So now you think of it, your parameter space, not just from the sound, the tone, but also the musical ideas. Like,
Yeah.
here's the constraints that sort of defines your topology, your n-dimensional space, and then I'm going to use randomization to like navigate to a cool spot and then apply my constraints there. And maybe I would have done something that I wouldn't have,
Right.
but I'll connect it to the thing that got you to jump back in so I can hand it off. This is the jazz musician. I'm going to play my little lick so you can keep going. And that is, at the end of the day, I'm still, as a human being,
Yes.
applying my own constraints. Bam! Now it's your
Yes.
turn.
You knew exactly where I was
I
going
knew
to
what
take
you were
this.
going
You knew
for.
exactly where I was going to take this. Because that's usually the biggest argument against sort of algorithmic or procedural music design, is this sort of idea that you're no longer like you're like relenting control over the composition or whatever,
Yes,
the design
exactly.
process to some algorithm. And I think sort of, you know, like Brian says here, all music is algorithmic. Like, our compositional process is itself algorithmic. And I
Yes,
think that
totally.
when we're approaching a creative aesthetic, when we're approaching a gig or a project, we're looking at creating and imposing constraints on our process to feed this aesthetic, right? And you're trying to
Absolutely.
create something that you envision the output being. And so you generate all these rules for your writing process, your compositional process, your instrumentation process, your like how you decide to orchestrate textures. You know, all those things sort of come into account, and these could be codified, right? You could write them down, and as soon as they're written down, like for example, let's say you take on an assistant, some composer assistant, right? They're going to be writing some cues. You're going to give them the set of rules that they need to follow in order to build those. And so that is normal. Like, that's a normal part of the creative process. And
I just want to riff on what you said about constraints. I would say all music's out there in some genres. So it's like combining with Brian. Some genres have more boundaries. I would say genre and style and all the things that one would describe as like, you know, what's a samba, like, well, you know, a samba versus
right.
Those are different constraints to the human creative algorithm, you know. And so it's like, okay, this style of music requires this narrow set of constraints,
right,
for it to be in that style, or rules, you know, like in
Yeah.
jazz, you got to swing like this, you know, or whatever. And suddenly you switch those enough, it's a new genre, right? But still, you know, that's kind of an interesting way to think about it, I think. Is
Well, yeah, and then
constraints.
reverting things to parameter spaces. Like, I remember someone describing, which I've sort of never really forgotten, is like this swing to Latin is like the lagging the beat versus anticipating the beat, and you can kind of like interpolate between those. You know? And anyway, so that, yes, and I guess what my point is, if it wasn't obvious, was just that like just because you wrote the rules down and or applied them to an algorithm doesn't mean it's not yours. That's your idea, and it's your voice that's coming through. And if it's not
exactly
what you hear, then you haven't finished writing all the rules down.
Yeah,
It's the
like
same
what I
when
just
you-
played for you, I would not say it sounds good. It was an interesting idea. I have not applied my aesthetic constraints as a human yet, so I would
Right.
not stamp it approval and say that it's like something I like yet, you know.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a thing I just was messing with. But
Eric,
you
what
know,
were you gonna say? Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Because,
yeah.
You talk about codifying it and handing it off to someone else. Well, that's exactly what sheet music is.
yes,
You-
totally.
Yeah.
Giving control of the music to the performer.
Yeah. Yeah, and performer's gonna perform. Like they're gonna like I have, whenever I go to a performer, I have to sort of accept that we've entered the collaborative space.
Yeah.
And like
Totally.
as much as I can sort of direct them,
Yeah.
I have always found superior results in letting the performer
Yes, totally.
provide and give to that outcome.
When I was very young, part of my thing that I was dreaming about wanting to be is a composer, like a normal composer, and I wrote my first thing that I did, where I wrote a piece of music, put it in a score, went and found musicians and hired them, and then recorded it in the studio and the whole thing. And I remember the first moment that I wrote a piece of music that a quartet played, being shocked that it was not what I had in my mind.
Yes.
And I was like, and I was like, I was like, they're really, I was like, this is expensive because I'm paying these musicians. And I like did not have a lot of money at the time. And I'm like, these guys suck. And I was like, wait a second. I had to like step back because if I removed what I was expecting in my brain, which is highly constrained, it sounded actually pretty damn good. And I found a recording of it and I listened to it recently. I was like, this is actually fucking sick. And it took me like a long time for me to get over my mental vision. And what they did is way better than I think what I would have had in my brain. But it was like a humanization of and it was frankly a little probably too difficult for them to play.
Right.
And
of course.
They low passed filtered to human scale some of the stuff that I was doing. And I think it sounds pretty good. Like, but it was an eye-opening thing to experience that shock of like your composer's perfection of your ideal thing. Part of it is that I was like making it and then playing it back by a computer, so the computer was like perfectly playing it, and then having it to a bunch of human performance, things were sloppy and the timing was all over the place and different, but it actually ended up sounding better.
My first experience with that was with the high school orchestra. As a senior, I'd written a piece for the orchestra, and they played it at like some ceremony, and I was like, "This is a disaster." I'm like, "This is awful." But some of that is just like high school kids; they're just okay. Some of them are really good, but not every one of them is really good. We got some late
Brian
jumping in here.
A couple comments are funny that I would like you to highlight. So somebody said I was lazy. Can you find that one?
Yeah, I can find that one. We should pin it.
Yeah.
It is sort of like the random buttons, like Caesar saying, like, "Show me something new."
Yes, exactly. I don't like to just sit here and pick through things myself. It's kind of like a crazy preset surfer, but like literally crazy. So like you preset surf, you're like, let me start with here. What if someone else? But a preset surfing is like, you're paying the company to like do it. I want the cosmos to be my preset surfer. I want to collaborate with the gods of randomness. Boom. So if I ever start a company doing VST plugins, every like one of my pillars will be everything has to be randomizable. Like it'll be like my trademark for my company. It'll be like everything will be fucking randomizable. Because that's what I enjoy when I make new stuff.
Borges like Library of Babel, where it's like every possible book exists, and you just have to find the book that you want.
Yeah, exactly. And then somebody said something else. I thought there was another comment in here.
This does not sound like Spitfire samples.
There we go. That was a funny one. Yeah, that was referring to like when you're a human being plays your music.
Yeah.
And you've like previously been listening to it with your like perfect MIDI, fake orchestration that you've done. Your Jeremy Soulization of orchestral music. What's funny is that guy is like really good at the canned orchestral stuff. It's a skill, getting really good at that.
Yeah. He's also a known sexual predator, so we're not gonna.
Well, there's that, but I just mean like the people whose careers have been built off of canned orchestration.
A lot, yeah.
It's like absolutely cheap. It's cheap to do a canned thing. Going and flying out to somewhere to get a full orchestra is extremely expensive. So if you can make your canned orchestral things sound shippable, that is a huge advantage.
Yours truly started his career this way.
Yeah, exactly.
My first AAA gig was doing symphonic choirs programming for Richard Jakes on Highlander, which never shipped.
I can't remember. There was a friend of mine who was doing that a lot, and I can't remember who it was. But
you don't remember your friend's name?
Well, I don't remember. I have many composer friends. So one of them, I was having a conversation about this, and I asked them if their compositional decisions change based off of the, their particular, East-West orchestral sample, like, expressions that exist, because they'll be like, here's a sample of like runs or like articulations and stuff like that. And they're like, here's the thing that it does really well. I'm going to change my compositional choices based off of what sounds like a real recording.
Well, I think
I'm trying to say?
Yes, that's actually huge. Do, right? It's a huge downside to the sample approach.
Recapitulating the idea of the thing, the thing which influences your creative decisions.
Yes,
that's another factor, right?
Absolutely, yeah. When you're so like there's two parts of it, right? Like there's one part is like idiomatic writing, which is good practice, right? Like, so learning about instruments and understanding them and how they should sound and how they perform differently and the sorts of decisions that work best to that instrument's strengths or performance obstacles, which is more like a mechanical thing, versus the like canned effects or canned like idiomatic expressions, right?
Yeah.
And I think, one of those is going to influence the outcome, which I have like, I have explored, and eventually what I've found when I've used those canned expressions is disappointment when I hear someone else using the same one.
Yeah, totally.
But I think there is a lot of
like,
value.
Oh, that's that one thing in the one orchestra.
Yeah. It's like I know that cello sample from symphonic orchestra. Totally. Like, yes, dude, like that's absolutely the case. But then also,
what's funny? Just real quick on that. When I was younger, I got really into Reason. I don't know anybody out there in the communities really into Reason. And there was in the mid 2000s or something like that, there was this library that shipped for Reason of these like orchestral like hits that you could drop into Dr. X and shit. And I remember being real excited about it. Dude, for the last 20 years, I've been hearing the same string recordings from that one goddamn sample. Yeah. It comes up constantly. Yeah. I'm like sitting, and it could be like mainstream stuff, and I hear the same stupid Reason, like 1.0 string sample library that I got really excited about when I was like 23 years old.
Yeah.
And I hear it constantly. Every time, just like you said, I'm like, lazy. Like it's so sad, like I.
But also, like you yourself used them, like
and I excitedly. I was like, this is gonna give me the edge, like I'm gonna be able to do some really cool shit with this, like hit, string samples, and I hear it constantly,
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. It's a challenge. It's a constant challenge. And the other thing that I find difficult, which sort of talking about like the Henry Mancini book, the Sounds and Scores, is like, I really love that kind of writing. But modern sample libraries don't lend themselves well to those sorts of textures, right? Those sorts of voicings. They tend to have pretty heavyweight, like string samples, like, maybe the smallest one violin is like maybe 8 players. You can't get smaller. Like I want the 2 players. And I want to have a whole bunch of them, a whole ensemble of those sort of smaller voices. Yeah, and it's just because it's passé, right? Like it's the trend in modern film and television scoring or game scoring is it doesn't lean that way.
What do you think about so Angelite asked about physical modeling in this context? What do you think about? Do you think it's
oh yeah, so like that's the So I mean I have like the sample modeling stuff before they broke up. And they're okay. Here's what I'll say is like I use them. I've used them on projects. So for brass, I've used the sample modeling brass. I grew up playing clarinet, and I cannot stand the clarinet models because to me
it's the instrumentalist. Like I can't stand brass physical models.
Yeah.
I find them humorous. They're very comical.
Yes, the clarinet ones, they always sound like they have plastic reeds, which you can buy, and they have a kind of sound to the timbre that I'm not really hot on.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So I think that there's a lot of potential. I like the approach. I think we need more modeling as a concept in sort of audio design, sound design, game audio. Yeah.
This is actually an interesting angle from the algorithmic composer perspective, because I'm an instrumentalist. I play trumpet,
right?
And going back to what Eric was saying about writing a piece of sheet music and handing it off to an instrument. In our previous discussion of like listening to human people playing the music. So the thing that freaks me out about physical modeling as a thing, and maybe AI can fix this somehow, but the parameter space of being a performer, like taking like the minimal bandwidth, like MIDI control information that's in like a piece of sheet music is not enough information to properly express what the composer's intent is, So then I'm thinking like, oh, you got this like amazing trumpet physical model. Even if it was like perfectly physically accurate, let's say it was indistinguishable between the actual physical capabilities of trumpet, the amount of data that you would have to somehow encode into that instrument to perform it naturally that a human would know, like to replicate the human machine learning, because a human is a machine, the human machine learning of like years of playing the instrument and figuring out a way to encode that into a computer just from the performance perspective is like it's like not going to happen anytime soon unless AI does it. I mean, obviously AI is generating all the shit, but I mean like deeper, like I want to make an AI to play this instrument, that's what I mean. And I think that would be like really hard. It would be a hard problem.
So I think, I don't know, Eric, if you wanted to jump in there, but so here's what, not maybe I don't want to say like AI specifically, but like I think neural networks pose an interesting opportunity in terms of the modeling space, like because I think you are talking about like mapping a ton of information, right?
Ton of parameters,
and that's I think that could be a really great application for a neural network to sort of like simplify the input data to get that more engaging or expected output. And so I think that it could be an interesting space. I am torn on the like, so the performance part of it, it is sort of, I feel like it should be me, or it should be like, I feel like it needs to be the person. Like I need it's either going to be a collaboration with a person, like I mentioned before, where it's like I'm sort of accepting the like releasing my control over the outcome by incorporating another human being who has their own experiences, their own ideas about what this should sound like, and versus me like going deep on like idiomatic expressions and really like studying the sort of nuances of a perform, like listening to work. I do this a lot, by the way, because I've spent hours on programming MIDI instruments, because that was like my first gig, and that was something I was very deep on before I started working at Epic. But I will start out by like, if I'm going to write a passage, I will actually start out going on YouTube and I'll start listening to the performers
Yep.
solo. I'll try to find performances that are similar to the kind of performances I'm trying to create. And I will try to put myself in the position of the player. Like one of the performances I'm really proud of is I worked on the special edition of Monkey Island 2, and there's this sort of Mardi Gras party sequence, and the original, we'll just say the original drum programming for most of that soundtrack was pretty sparse. It was like written on the Roland MT32, and it was like played on like your DOS sound card, so it was like very minimal. And I wrote a sequence where it has like this drum solos and stuff like that, where I imagine the drummer finding delight in the performance. And that was part of my creative process, part of my writing process there. And I really liked the outcome of that. So, I think there's a lot of value in deep diving in that space. You don't always get the chance to do it. Obviously, the gig is a whole other beast to contend with.
So there's a little sliver of an angle which I think is maybe an interesting topic or idea to bring up that's related to what we're talking about. Returning back to the idea of the mathematical complexity of the parameter space of capturing a human performer in the problem of physical modeling. There's an interesting thing. Patrick Hart out there in the community. Patrick and I did a collaboration. Maybe we can have him on here at some point.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
But we did a collaboration where we did a performance down at UC Santa Barbara earlier in the year, where it was like animating a metahuman face. So if you don't know about metahuman's this like crazy complicated thing that Unreal Engine has. And so his idea was like he wanted to manually animate the metahuman face, was his like sort of inspiration. And he sat down to go and be like, okay, I'm going to manually animate the face and have it make expressions. And then we're going to drive it with some music and stuff. And as he sat down to do it, the number of parameters of the metahuman face is like the rig is like, it's like 20,000 parameters. And it's one of those things. I literally just made the connection now of like, it's metahuman's kind of like a physical model of a human face, right?
Yeah.
So,
or a human. Yeah.
Or a human. Or at least a face. I don't know. I wouldn't go to the humans are more than just their faces, but like the like
no, but
animated,
the metahuman includes the whole body,
digestive tract, and the personality. I don't know.
I don't remember that parameter, but maybe.
But the point is that even animating the face is there's a shit ton of parameters, and it's something that humans do without thinking. Like I'm not sitting here like thinking about all of the damn parameters of like
sometimes
my face.
I do, but yes.
But the point is that there's a lot of data to capture expression. In something that we do naturally. And I want to say, if you've ever talked to somebody who has problems with human to human interaction, if you're maybe on the spectrum or something, facial expressions are something that's learned. It's not something that comes naturally to everybody. It is something that is learned, going back to the idea of the human being a machine and having to do machine learning naturally, right? As you grow up in your lifetime, you develop the ability to like do this in a very natural way, instantaneous, but it's actually a shit ton of computation. Like when I'm raising my eyebrows and doing all this stuff, it's actual computation. It doesn't happen. It's like by a biological computation, but it didn't just like happen without some brain neuron somewhere doing a lot of computation about like, I want to express this thing. How do I do that? It's like inverse mocap, it's like mode generation. And so to drive metahuman manually was like hilarious and inhuman, just like it would be to manually drive a proper full physical model of an instrument. You're like, I want to like drive this stuff manually. It's impossible. You literally can't do it. And so all physical models, just like our hand animated metahuman, is disturbing, I think, as an instrumental.
Yeah, I see where you're going.
I'm listening to a trumpet physical model and I'm like, no fucking performer would sound like that. That's just not how it physically works. And if I were to sit down and try to like numerically articulate all of the ways that it's not human, it would be impossible. I couldn't tell you, but I could instantly know it's totally inhuman. And it's so complicated that it boggles the mind. Yet, as a trumpet player, I sit down and perform, and I'm doing this kind of complicated expression, also managing the physicality of the instrument in a natural way.
Right.
You play a scale, da 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 da. Playing on trumpet, I could play it a billion different ways with so many different inflections and expressions. What the hell? Like, how are you going to encode that? Anyways, it's my sort of larger grand unification theory of human computational complexity and its inability to be expressed in a machine.
Yeah.
The only way you'd be able to,
we have the hubris to make
exactly.
metahumans.
Humans are
libraries.
We don't have enough computational power in the cloud to represent the expressive capability of my goddamn pinky.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
you're also trumpet players,
Yeah. But you get what I'm saying though, the computational complexity of stuff that we do at low power. We don't burn the seas, to like have a conversation, right? As humans, like
not yet.
We're far superior.
Yeah. I mean, but to be fair to the complexity of the simulation, the metahuman parameterization is like more than a single human requires. Like, in other words, going back to facial expressions, like there are fewer parameters that are driving the electric signals to my muscles that manipulate my face. Like, it's not as complicated as the parameter space that is provided on the metahumans, because the metahuman is like also the like everyman human. Like, it's supposed to be everything, right? And so it's like it's supposed to.
Wait,
like it does.
Brian, sorry, Fuller Time just made a thing.
Fuller Time.
You should quote it. Sorry, he's. Sorry to interrupt. I'm just saying it was maybe correct. I'm watching this fucking chat.
Yeah,
anyways,
this one,
sorry.
here we go. Right. Also, I just like this. You heard it here first. Like,
there's a lot of good quotes here. I'm not so I can't count the bottles, but this is dangerous because I got. I don't know how many bottles
it's a box.
It's a box. I don't know how many.
How far down on the box?
I don't know. I don't even know. It doesn't even tell me.
So big.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry to interrupt, Dan.
It's fine.
While I've interrupted, Nicholas Franciosi is asking for a bunch of advice and stuff on UE.
Oh yes. Yeah.
So I think it's worth stating that Dan's podcast, if this is a podcast, it's not, even though we all work at Epic, theoretically, we're not working. This is not on the job. We're not here to train people.
Yeah.
We're literally just nerds hanging out, talking about audio. It happens sometimes to be with Unreal Engine because we just happen to know about that. But like, this is not the right place to go for tutorials. Fuller Time and Sound Effects guy in the chat here. Go check out their YouTube channels. Anybody else in here who wants a YouTube shout out, go check out their shit. They're great at building tutorials. We are not. I mean, Dan actually is. Check out Dan's. Dan's good.
I'm okay.
And you guys do. I don't build tutorials. I make the tech to confound the masses. Yeah. And other people build the tutorials. Like, I'm not. I'll absolutely help. If I could ask a question, but this is not a tutorial. This is like hanging out and having fun with friends and being nerds about audio.
Yeah.
So sorry, Nicholas.
Until it is a tutorial. There's no constraints. I'm not placing any constraints on the content of this chat, except to say that we are not legally liable for anything that happens here. Let's.
Yeah. Go.
Also, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't even know what that means.
Yeah. There are good places to go for tutorials, and people are making amazing stuff. We have official stuff that we publish too. So, but this is not I'm drinking wine right now. I'm off the clock. Yeah. We're having fun. We're shooting the shit.
Yep. Yeah.
This is what this. If I were to make the podcast, it'd be called "Shooting the Shit."
I'm glad that's not the case. Yeah. Anyway, we are actually kind of at the usual time.
Yeah, we're at the usual time.
We're at the usual time.
Shape Noise said he's back from dinner and we're still nerding, so I think that's true.
Yeah,
but
we're good.
maybe we should stop nerding. I don't know. I'm willing to keep
There's
nerding.
love for Aaron, Angelites. I don't know if that is if they're saying
boxes deep.
that Aaron is 2 boxes deep or that they're 2 boxes deep. I don't know.
I think I've only had I think my estimation is about half a bottle of wine.
Yeah,
Like 2 glasses,
All right.
2.5 glasses. It's not too bad.
Not bad.
Well, it depends. Are you filling up glasses or are you just
No,
drinking
they're
out of the
just
nozzle?
tiny, you know.
Okay, yeah.
But I will say that the shit I'm saying is stuff I would say perfectly sober as well. I mean, this is actually good representation. Eric, you need to come into the office more often. And actually, Dan, you too. But back in the day when we were in the office all the time, this is the kind of conversation we would have constantly. Like during lunch, we would do like walks and stuff. This is the sort of thing that our work crew is nerdy and talks about. Actually, I would say if you want to connect it back to Epic and Metasounds, one of the things that I think is exciting about what we're doing at Epic with our audio tech is that we do think about our audio, about the domain of audio in a deep way, I would say. We are trying to do more than just like, I don't know. We're trying to do something deeper than just like cool, like game audio or whatever. We're trying to make something powerful.
I think that there's, I think it's fair to say, at least, I don't know about Eric, but it's fair to say that Aaron and I definitely are here for creating the potential, creating the thing that we want to see, because we're creative. We just want to be artists. That's the sort of, that's the fantasy, is just being the artist, and making the things. And then the job kind of is like the thing you have to sort of wrestle with. Maybe I feel that way more than Aaron does.
That's an interesting way to put it. Yeah. So speak for yourself. I would say.
I mean, I'm working at Epic because I like Unreal. That's always been the reason, and the Unreal audio engine is compelling to me. I like game development. I think that's really interesting, and I love the idea of the intersection of all these creative domains, and audio is my domain. And so the way that I participate in that, in my mind, is participation in the tools to create, and that's the fun part for me.
So the way I think this is, I've probably, maybe I talked about this last time I was here, but I go off on this tangent quite a bit, or whatever. Hang out with me at GDC and a couple beers in, and I'll probably say something along these lines. I feel that the ultimate creative tool of our age are game engines. Like, period. Like Unity is awesome. I have nothing against Unity. I've used many proprietary game engines before I worked at Epic. So I think game engines are this sort of like perfect collaborative tool, instrument, and I mean that musically, but it could mean visually as well. Instrument for cross-team collaboration in a way that is relevant to the current zeitgeist, the now, which is interactive media. It's like computer's ultimate expression of human creativity and potential. So it's like Photoshop was like really exciting for like static images, and I'm trying to think of a good video editing software. It's great for video, but the ultimate thing is procedural, interactive, creative output, and game engines are the way that happens. And I think more than any other tool, it's the ultimate expression of technology, art, and science. It's all of it together, all the people working on it in the collaborations, the crazy technology and scientists sitting next to the Da Vinci's of our time and the Bachs of our time, right? It's and I'm convinced that if Leonardo da Vinci was alive today, he would be a tech artist in the game industry, or some kind of thing like that. And so as a result, for where I see myself in my contribution to humanity, I want to make that tool better. And like Dan, my lane is audio and sound, and maybe that's my unique contribution. And I want to make the tool powerful for the future of the tool that I work on. It could be, I'm not precious about Like, I would love to have, if there was somebody over there in Unity to come and chat and hang out. Like,
Yeah.
I'm friends with the audio middleware folks and everything. And the more the merrier. Like, this is a cool domain to do cool shit for human expression and creativity. Our stuff's not perfect, but we have an exciting vision and we're trying to push for it. But reality is hard too, because we're shipping a game, and it's all this like reality gets in the way. But the vision is like to do cool shit for creative potential for humans.
There's an ideal. There's an ideal, which it doesn't exist, and I actually take comfort in the idea that we still haven't seen the best ideas for this.
Absolutely,
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
still just beginning. Games are just beginning, and I say games loosely. I mean this, whatever this is,
project,
interactive content creation,
experiences,
whatever. There's still not a good term for it. It's still new in the history of humanity. Yeah.
But I think it's like, and I know that I don't think that you are exempting this, but I just want to make sure that it's included. Is the user, right? Like, that is part of, like, to me, like one of the things that I go sort of deep philosophically on in my mind when I'm alone, is the idea that art is a discourse, right? So you have, like, the artist creates something and then the audience responds to that, and you sort of have sometimes the audience becomes artists themselves and they create something in response, and you have this sort of back and forth. And I think that there's something really wonderful about interactive experiences, sort of interactive software experiences, what do you want to call them, where that is very immediate, and we are trying to, like, sort of anticipate and think about, and we can't anticipate everything or think about all those things.
Totally.
And there's surprise and discovery, and that, I think, is really lovely. And that is, I think, a really important crux of this, like, whatever this is. Yeah. So
100%.
What do you feel, Eric?
People have been waiting for me to say something for a while now, and
Dan and I are just stomping all over you.
Well, Eric's been very lean. Like, Eric, the few times that you've spoken, has been like correcting something and fixing things. Like, so it's
he's a minimalist with his, but right, in Dan and I's diarrhea of words.
I've been in a room with both of you before. I know the dynamic here.
This happens in real life too. Dan and I just stomp everything. Yeah. Sorry, Eric.
No. It's nerds saying nerd stuff.
Yeah, sound effects guy quote. You should quote him up at the top. He goes. Oh, Eric said something.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I said a word.
Gotta give the people what they want.
That's right. So, I mean, but actually, out of curiosity, Eric, I mean, if you don't have to share if you don't want to, but why do you work in games?
I mean, I think you both kind of summed it up pretty succinctly.
Oh, come on. You have to say something different. You can't just
I mean, like, my motto has always just been, like, make cool shit, and I don't care what form that is. Like, it just happens to have been music for most of my career. Now it's tech, and a lot of the things I enjoy doing outside of work is making things, and and just enjoying the process of making something where there wasn't something there before, or just kind of pushing some of the boundaries of whether it's like the industry or if it's just my own abilities to make something. It's just I like the process of improving and creating and iterating on things.
I have a question. How do you learn things so quickly?
Well, I don't know if I'd say it's quick, but
it seems quick from my perspective. Like, you pick stuff up really quickly.
Yeah. And thoroughly.
Are you just like spending all night like studying and then like never sleep, and then but it feels like you just picked it up in 2 seconds, but it's all an illusion?
I mean, I wouldn't. No, I definitely sleep plenty. So
maybe that's the secret. Get good night's sleep.
It could be, yeah, very well.
I definitely don't get that.
I don't know. Like a lot of folks will, they like the tutorials and they like the videos and stuff. I'm very much not into, that sort of learning. Sorry to the folks in YouTube that we were just talking about. I just dive in and start doing stuff. And the sooner that I can get in there and start messing
Yeah.
up, the sooner I can start, figuring out what I like doing, what works, and just kind of fumbling around trial by fire. And
What you have is a thing, I would say. This is my interpretation, and I think a lot of people hold themselves back for lack of this, which is you're kind of fearless in your approach to things. You don't worry about doing the wrong thing. It seems to me. I think people that learn things quickly just roll their sleeves up and just dive in and don't worry about like, oh, is this the right thing? Am I doing the wrong thing? Maybe related to that, this is something that I feel that I have to, like, I'm aware of it, self-aware of it, and I very consciously try to push back against it. Is when I'm trying to learn a new thing, and that is the feeling of the fog of war, the sort of like, because you have to have an entry point. There's so much on stuff that you're like, I don't even know what the fuck this is, and you're like, but you gotta like you kind of get a foothold and you kind of move forward, and there's a feeling like of oppression that I think maybe it's just me, but there's just like this mountain of stuff on top of it. I don't know, and I don't know if I like take another step if I'm gonna go off a cliff because the fog is right there in front of me, and you kind of get I have to go like, it's fine, I don't need to know everything. Like it just it'll come together or it won't. I don't know. And that's sort of the fearlessness, but it's like the next, like, what are you afraid of? It's the fog right in front of you. And that, like, it's not just like I could be wrong. Like, no one's over me. I could, and I get this feeling like I haven't told anybody I'm going to learn new thing. If I fail, no one's going to know it. So it's not like that kind of fear. It's like it's a like the kind of fear you get when you sit down and work on a math problem. You're like, there's a lot to keep in your mind. And I think the way I think of how I work through it is similar to how I write code. Because by the way, this happens as a programmer all the time. When you sit down to write code, there's just so much shit around your code. And so you figure out like all this stuff is happening, but this function, I can control what goes in and I can control what goes out. So this thing that I'm working on will be good. And then you kind of build out from there, kind of pushing back the fog of darkness. You know what I'm saying? So you kind of like sort of my learning theory of like being on a post-apocalyptic zombie island with zombies all around trying to attack you. Anyways, the point is that you kind of have to deal with that feeling of uncertainty.
Yeah. One of my foils in learning is synthesizing connections between things or associations between things that may or may not exist. Because I'm trying to understand the whole, and there are those sort of unknown areas, unknown spaces, and my mind wants to fill those in with some sort of logic exercise, and then I sound like I know what I'm talking about. It's basically the crux of this whole live stream and my YouTube channel.
There's a kind of fake it till you make it. And Angelite said something interesting. Aaron's so quote him because I think it's actually a interesting point. There is a fake it till you make it kind of vibe, but I wouldn't say that it's fake it till you make it, and I wouldn't even say it's BS. When you say to yourself, "It's easy, I can do it," it's true. Almost everything that exists is actually easy. It's not almost not anything, especially anything in Unreal. There's almost nothing that's like hard in principle. I've done stuff that's hard in principle, which is maybe my secret power. Going back to my physics background, I'm not sure. Like, this is fucking hard. Like, this is actually hard and remains hard. Like, truly trying to understand quantum mechanics is hard in principle. Like, that's actually hard. Everything's actually simple. It's just complicated. Complexity is different than hard with a capital H. It's like, just stick to it. It'll click. Something will come together. And even if it doesn't work, figure out, it's probably not your fault. There's probably some bullshit stupidity in the tool, like, so there's kind of like an arrogance that you maybe should develop, which is that like, I can do this. Like,
I think sorry.
Yeah, go on, Eric. Yeah, interrupt me, please. Interrupt me.
No, I think what makes some things easier is when you have more context about the things around it. Yeah. So like the more you can kind of step back and look at things as a whole, the easier it is to see how it fits in and like make sense of a bigger picture.
This is why fundamentals are really important, by the way, is in any domain, learning the fundamentals is key to building a better understanding of context. If you're coming into a new domain and you haven't taken the time to learn the fundamentals, then shit kind of seems random. It seems like you have a hard time synthesizing information and making connections of things. Like there's what you were saying, Dan, of like making connections. If it seems random and unconnected, it's going to be way harder to learn something. Which, if you're approaching a new domain, like totally new domain, I'm not an expert in graphics, but like if I was like, I'm going to sit down and learn Niagara or some shit, take the time to learn the fundamentals of particle systems. Like, Niagara is about particle systems. Go and stop. I want to learn Niagara. First step, don't open up Niagara. Like you go like, what is Niagara? It's a particle. Okay, what is a particle system? Go and study the fundamentals of particle. What are particle systems about? What are they trying to do? What are the key problems of particle systems? Why do they exist? What are they solving? And then you develop the understanding of fundamentals. Then you go learn the tool, and then you can contextualize what the tool's trying to do. Because every particle system and every game engine is doing basically the same thing. And so if you know the fundamentals, then you can learn the new tool more easily because you've spent the time to learn the fundamentals. This is something that we see in audio constantly, where people outside of audio come in, and it's like the worst combo, where they don't know the fundamentals and they assume they don't need to know the fundamentals because how hard can it be? They're like, what the hell? Like you see in our Discord channels or in public, they're like, why is this looking? And you're like, you're totally in a different planet. Like, go spend a couple days and like just get to the foundations of like what the hell game engines for audio are doing, like audio engines are doing, and the fundamentals of audio, and then learn our tech or whatever tech you're trying to learn. So that's another core thing to your point, is context. Like, if you don't have any foundational context on any tool, then you're kind of screwed. Like, it's a really hard. It's not you're screwed. You can 1,000 times more difficult.
I would like to nuance that a little bit. So when I was, because I used to teach,
I was pretty crude. So.
No, I mean it's. I think the crux of it is really good. But when I was teaching, one of the things that I felt very strongly about was, if you, like, for example, I taught sound design and music production for 5 years, and I insisted that whatever tool that we taught the students, they learn 2 different versions of that tool, and that's because you can learn a tool without understanding the concept of the tool. You become an operator of that tool, but you don't understand it at a fundamental level. And what I think what helps a lot is experiencing that same process from another angle, right? So you bring in, if you learn Pro Tools, you also learn Cubase, or as an example, right? And then it's like, or you learn Live or whatever. And then what happens is the student, or you, whoever that is, starts to understand, like they start to abstract all the concepts. And once you have an abstraction of the concepts, you have a more fundamental understanding of the thing, whatever it is. And so that was something I think is, and I still think is very important to the learning process. And it's not, one of the things I am sort of frustrated by the vocational educational structure that we have is this sort of push toward just training people on tools to like spit them out into the job space. And they're people need to marinate. They need to sort of gain those fundamentals. If they don't have them, they're not going to be able to adapt to the changes in the job space, right? And this is anything that's technology driven is going to be constantly under evolution. It's going to be constantly changing how things work, how they decide to do the thing.
So Mr. Fuller, I think, misquoted me, and if he didn't, I didn't mean to say it that way. If you want to say, he's quoting me saying everything is simple, it's just complicated. I meant to say, and I thought I said, but is everything is easy, it's just complicated. There's nothing fundamentally difficult. But Simple and complicated are opposites.
Yeah.
I meant easy to understand.
Complexity
or
can
easy, not necessarily easy to understand.
Complexity can be intimidating, but it can be made easy.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and I think, to your ingress in the like war-fogged world, there's a kind of interesting benefit of taking a small foothold first.
Yeah.
And then expanding outward incrementally.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to be overwhelmed by the complexity of the thing. You can start at that simple base and then work outward. And I think that sort of battles or allows you to grapple with the complexity more like in an easy way.
Totally. There was some other interesting I was trying to type on here. Can I not type to the community on this? I didn't think.
I don't remember if
this tool that Dan's using. I see the comments coming in, but I was trying to respond.
What you can go to the actual YouTube.
Oh, on YouTube.
Yeah, and then just mute the.
Don't want to load up YouTube.
Okay. Is there a comment you want me to highlight?
There was a couple interesting points that some people are making. Shape Noise was like, "Hey, I knew modular synths very well, so adapting to meta sounds was fairly straightforward."
Yeah.
Sound effects guy said Maximus P's what really helped meta sounds and click for me. So I would say this is not because necessarily that we fundamentally are copying those is that the fundamentals are the same between these domains. That's kind of what I'm getting at. If you learn, we're
there was deliberation there. I mean, there was some of that is by design.
But I will say that it's not because we're trying to be like modular synthesis, or it's that the fundamental thing that we're trying to solve is similar between these things. And then you say, how is that solved in the world of modular synthesis? Or how did this core thing that we share with them solved by? So that's where tools borrow ideas. Yeah. That's how the industry moves forward. There's a sort of a platonic ideal, like an abstract notion of the concept independent of any tool. And that is the thing that I'm suggesting you spend some time to try to learn about first, because the different tools will have different expressions of the shared thing, which in the case of meta sounds, and I would say game audio in general, is like signal flow, and audio rendering. Like there's similar kind of concepts that are expressed differently. Like a DAW, you learn one DAW. If you learn that one, if you learn Pro Tools and only Pro Tools, and you don't spend time platonically abstracting what it is that the thing's trying to solve, learning a different DAW is going to be really difficult.
Yes,
because this isn't done how Pro Tools does it. Then you're gonna have difficulty learning a different one because you didn't abstract the things that the thing's trying to solve. And so Ableton Live blew your mind if you thought, anyways, the point though is that DAWs are kind of another thing. And then people go, oh, game audio, you're just trying to be like a DAW. And it's like, no, game audio is not trying to be a DAW. There's some overlap, but DAWs are solving a fundamentally different problem. Yeah. And therefore it's not the same. It's a different problem.
But I want to make sure this point is highlighted. And that is that when you're designing a new tool, when you're designing a new thing, there is a conscious choice to adopt the vocabulary or language or terminology of some inspirational reference. And I think that those decisions have been made. I mean, we use the language of DAWs a lot. We have the insert effects chain, like all this sort of stuff is something that you would maybe more early recognize in your DAW. We're intentionally adopting that vocabulary because functionally it's doing that thing, right? And it's the same thing with modular synthesis. In like we have ADSR, envelope generator, like all this sort of stuff. Yeah, exactly. And these things, this is the vocabulary of, and like there's a sort of, from a tool development perspective, there is a benefit of adopting this vocabulary in that it makes it easier for new users to acquaint themselves to your tool.
It was funny as you type LFO and we talk about it and you're like, oh, just drop an LFO. Somebody not into that space would be like,
Right.
what the fuck are you talking about, dude? And like, what? LFO? Huh? You're like,
Like
oh, it's
for-
a low frequency oscillator. What?
Yeah.
You know, it's like layers of WTF
Yeah.
that we experience all the time. You know, it's like, oh, well, you see, back in the, you know, it's like this.
I remember because there's a whole because that's something that we didn't. I mean, I definitely took for granted was the vocabulary of modular synthesis when we did
Yeah,
a lot
totally.
of meta sounds, early meta sound stuff, and and I remember being surprised at how many of my colleagues would be like, "Where the fuck is the fade?"
Yeah,
And I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess it's
in-game audio.
if you're
College
searching
in-game
for
audio.
it, like I guess you're not gonna find it because it's an envelope generator."
Yeah,
you know?
there is an overlap. A lot of game audio people are into modular synthesis.
Yeah,
but not all of them.
Not all of them.
And there's a bunch of people who find meta sounds completely impenetrable. I would say that a lot of them came from Wise. You know, it's a different language.
Yeah,
different
or rather, Wise spoke better than to them, you know, or
Wise
spoke better.
Certainly
to them.
is not inspired by modular synthesis.
No.
I don't. It may be more inspired by Excel spreadsheets. I don't know. Like, burn, you know. But anyway,
Excel spreadsheets are the king of game audio. We'll never have a better idea than that.
Anyways, but the point though is that like there's different mental models, you know, and I would say that it's not a subtle thing. You know, Wise and Fmod and common middlewares are actually solving it's the overlap is very high, but their like center of mass is conceptualizing game audio, I would say, differently than how we would like to move the Overton window of how we are conceptualizing or conceptualizing, you know, conceptualizing game audio, which is they're thinking about samples as the ultimate approach. We're trying to push it towards more procedural, you know, I guess more modular synthesis inspired core audio approach to making audio, which is like very overlapped, but it is shifting it in the direction of more procedural approaches to audio creation, which is a different paradigm.
I'm hesitant to assert that just because I don't really have I don't talk to them all the time, and I don't know what their ambitions are. Obviously, they can do whatever they want, but I think that there is something when you create a system that you invariably make negative decisions. In other words, you reject ideas in order to, like, you find the branch of the road and you take left, not right, or right, not left. And what that does is it cuts off all the people that would rather have taken the left or the right, whichever one you didn't take, when they want to execute their idea. When you create a system, you have, like, the more design and the more ready-made that system is for your use, the more ideas were rejected in that process. And that's fine. That's like, you know, I like sushi is like rejection of all the stuff you don't want to eat. Like that is the process. And I love it. But you know, if you have a different idea, it becomes extremely painful to grapple with the rejection of your idea and adopting that system at the same time, right? And so I think that, and that's tough cookies. Like anytime you want to do that, there's never gonna be the system that covers all the ideas, right?
No, it's gonna be our system.
That's
maximalist. We will cover all ideas of humanity.
Well, one of the ways of not covering the ideas is to not cover the idea. That's the, you know, if we just don't build that far, then if we have a framework upon which people can build those ideas, then, and that's kind of the approach we've taken for a really long time, as an efficiency.
Yeah. But also, you know, it's like, all right, well, we can't do everything, but we can make an API and then you can do it.
Yeah.
If you need it, like, go ahead and build it. Yeah.
And that works for some people. And it doesn't work for everyone. But yeah, the synthesis thing, the modeling thing, I think what is worth, I just don't like to assert the company's ambitions. I don't really know, you know, what they want to do or where they want to take their tooling. But I will say that I have observed that a lot of middleware users really like their middleware, and they're very resistant to changes in their user experience. think
I would
recently-
say I would extend that and cynically extend it to this. Anybody who knows their tool really well likes their tool and doesn't want to change their tool that they know really well. And that applies to any tool, even if it's a really nice hammer.
Yeah, I mean, I agree in the favorite. I agree there's favoritism, right? But
no,
I
no,
don't.
it's
I agree-
familiarity and expertise.
but also sometimes it's fun, right? Like
I would say even
we collect synthesizers not because they're the same, right? Like because they're different.
well, true, but what I'm saying though, you also don't have, you're not making your job. Okay, there's also this other mindset, by the way. There's it's a personality thing or something. There's the
Maybe.
craftsman mindset,
Yeah.
and then there's the artiste, I'm pushing and striving mindset. And I would say in game audio, I would say that there's a lot of the craftsman mindset, which is not to say it's a problem. I'm just saying that exists, and it's like I can make this chair really well. Like like you could be like, you know what I'm saying, like I'm a woodworker, right? And I'm making this perfect functional chair. But I'm also a different type of woodworker is going to try to make this ridiculous chair and experiment every time they want to make a chair, you know. But the craftsman-minded woodworker doesn't give a shit about your 3D printer wood lathe bullshit. You know, they're like, give me my fucking thing that I've been doing for 20 years. I can build goddamn good chairs that work. I don't care, you know. But that's the craftsman mindset. There's a different personality mindset, which is striving and pushing and innovating, and that's. And I'm not making a
no,
value comparison, but there is a
difference
difference between those types of people.
I will say that I have traditionally, this is sort of a confession, I have had a very difficult time understanding that mindset
because it's not your personality.
Because it's not my personality. Because I really like creating. I really like trying new things. I really like, you know, exploring creative spaces.
I have both of those, by the way. There's things that I do which are very craft oriented.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. And I actually strive to develop a better craft in a certain space. It's like when I sit down to practice trumpet, I want to be better at trumpet. It's fucking metal buzzing on my lips. I'm not trying to innovate. I want to get better at doing a thing which is a craft, you know? I'm not trying to push the boundaries. I just want to be better at the
Paganini of trumpets.
Yeah. So then I put the trumpet down, then I come over with my fucking crazy music, and then I'm like, I want to innovate. So I try I'm like in both spaces. And I actually don't like crossing them. There's a reason why if you go listen to a lot of my crazy computer music, very rarely am I doing anything with my trumpet because I like my trumpet being my craftsman space. I don't want to do crazy shit with that, you know. So I can kind of appreciate both mindsets, and I don't think they're necessarily bad or worse. But in an industry like games, which is fundamentally technological, it is, as an industry, and I think it should be, pushing in the boundaries. So fundamentally, there is a fundamental tension between the craftsman mindset, the craftsperson mindset, and technological innovation.
Yeah.
And I think in game audio, for a very long time, it's been the center of mass has been on the crafts side, and less on the innovation side. So where we're at, I'm trying to push it towards the innovation side, but that's not there's nothing wrong with the craft side of things. It's just, the industry needs to innovate.
Yeah, I definitely think there's like an empty space where we should have occupied, I feel like, a really long time ago.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I have definitely felt, and this is probably just the sort of like poor reaction on my part, but I have definitely inferred a sort of cynicism when people are resistant to that sort of technological push. And I feel like there is a kind of conceit when you're entering a career space, a pursuit of working in a technologically driven job space, that there should be an expectation that there will be a constant change because technology is constantly evolving and changing.
Totally. And also, if you join a company, if you join a company like Epic, right, where the airplane is being made, and then you also have to fly that airplane, you're along for the ride. like the plane is barely, So if you guys, this is actually kind of a fun thing to talk about to the community. Y'all out there in this chat, unless you work for Epic, you experience Unreal Engine through a beautiful QA gate. 5.6, 5.7, 5.5. Eric experiences our tech raw off the press. He never gets to have the luxury of experiencing Unreal Engine after a beautiful QA gate. You could say, bugs make it through the gate all the time, but it's at least a better filter than what Eric experiences. He's on the front line with the other, and also Dan. Sorry, you're also technical. I was like, you guys both experience the rawness of our tech as it comes out, and it has to ship every couple of weeks. And so that's like a crazy shift. Like we'll see folks that come from the outside, like Eric, who is on the outside, comes in and are like, whoa, what crazy town is this? And I think it's exciting, but it's definitely a mindset shift about how crazy the tech is at this company. If you think it's crazy on the outside, it is 1,000 times crazier on the inside. The stuff that doesn't make it on Unreal Engine, like the Fortnite tech, is almost as large as the Unreal Engine tech is. Like I would say, the code base is maybe as much or more than Unreal Engine itself. Yeah. So the tech that Eric and Dan have to learn in terms of complexity is like compounded by all of our internal stuff that we don't ship. And so I have a lot of empathy for y'all.
Well, and I think
it's a mindset shift.
Epic's definitely a driver, like a technology driver. Like that's part of their mission. But yeah, if you look at Unreal, it's like I think it's like 30 years old this year, and then like Fortnite is like 15 years old. Like it's pretty old, really. Like it was in development for like 7 or 8 years before it released. So yeah, it's that code is big and large.
If you go and you can look at the early announcement of Fortnite, the first YouTube video, 2011.
Yeah.
So so that means by 2011 it had already been in develop enough to do an announcement video.
Yeah.
So that's at least 15, 16 years in development.
Yeah.
And when I joined Epic 2014, I remember Zach Belika's the audio director. He had been working on Fortnite for 7 years.
Yeah.
I think maybe 6 years. I can't. Something along some long period of time.
It was at least 6 years.
He had been working on it when I joined.
Because Zach actually was a guest speaker. Because I was in 2011, I was teaching at in a game audio program at a school, and I was very adamant in bringing in guest lecturers, and Zach was one of those great volunteers. And he was actually in the area because he was recording at Technicolor for that trailer. So, and that was definitely 2011. So
yeah.
We
have some interesting takes in the chat.
Yeah.
It'll be fun to address. We're way past the deadline.
Yeah, this is late night.
So yeah, this is after hours. Shape Noise says the craft side makes money. Au contraire, I absolutely disagree. So yes, craft side makes some amount of money, but the big money is in innovation. So that's you push and you innovate, and it gets adopted. You do something no one else can do. You can go big.
There's an inherent risk there, right?
But it's risky.
Yeah.
But craft is sort of like you make your chair. You can find someone to
someone's going to buy that chair.
Yeah. So absolutely risk is higher for pushing. And I would say Unreal Engine and Epic in general is very risk tolerant. Like if there's anything that Epic is about, they're risk tolerant. There's many things that we've done where I've been like, what?
Yeah.
And then we do it.
And then we do it. Yeah.
And then count so many times this has happened. I've been at Epic for 11 years. I have been proven wrong so many times.
Yes.
Where I've been like cynical on the inside, going like, "There's no way." And I'm very risk tolerant. Like I am a pusher of it, and I'm like, "That's crazy." Like, are you kidding me? That's insane. And then
a lot of the early Fortnite events were like that for me. I remember it was like, we're gonna do what now? Like,
I'm not gonna talk about it right now because I don't know if we should. But the stuff that recently did with the Darth Vader shit, I also was like, "What?" And then say what you want about it. It worked.
Yeah.
Technically, that was my
technically. It worked.
I mean, I was skeptical.
Your
worked
part
too.
of it worked really nice.
Yeah, exactly. it worked, you know. Anyways,
no, but like even like
there's
the
so many things
Marshmallow
like that.
concert,
Yeah.
which was like unprecedented at that time, right?
Yeah.
It was just like, wait, we're gonna do what now? Like, why?
And-
What?
And I would say, you know, a lot of people, we don't even, you know. By the way, this is a big secret about like success. And maybe you know it or not.
Secret.
The big secret is no one knows why. I'd say this. Like when I worked on Call of Duty, when I was on Call of Duty, we were all like, "What is the thing that makes us so successful?" Like no one knew. Like, and so you're like, "Is this it? Is this what it is?" So you tweak the formula and hope to God that you didn't break the magic, you know.
Yeah.
And Fortnite, I feel, is kind of similar, where like nobody knows why something is successful.
I don't know why anything's successful. That's
Ever.
for damn sure.
And I would say nobody really knows. Tons of people
There are
say
a lot of
they
people
know.
that pontificate and say that they know. Yeah,
No one really knows. I would say a lot of it is just random luck. But I will say this. I absolutely will say this, is that if you do not innovate, it won't happen. I honestly, at least in our space, if you're doing basic shit and you're not innovating in some fashion, it's not going to be, it won't be successful. I think honestly, innovation, could be like game design innovation. Something has to be innovating. It doesn't have to be technology, but something has to be different to cause people to go, oh, like Minecraft was innovative, right?
Well, yeah, definitely. Well,
and like, so shit, it has to have some level of innovation.
but I mean, even if it's just like a match 3, like even if it's like the thing that's been such rote territory, you still need to stand out because there are a million of them now. And the if you're not pushing the envelope in some way, then everything is easy because all of the tools have been developed that you can just sort of license and spit out the thing. Like you can make a very low effort game very easily, and that's you know, is it going to stand out? It's just luck. It's like, you know, you're one of 7 million people buying a lottery ticket.
Yeah,
that's it.
So Brian Michael Fuller says another interesting, indie space is where it begins. The industry is shifting. Lean is king. So what I think is interesting about that is indies. I would say this, confirmation bias. I would say there's a confirmation bias with indies because indies have, you know, they can innovate because the risk is like a little bit lower, you know, like it's their personal lives, but like in terms of like investment scale, it's like, oh, you know, if this game doesn't work, I'll go work on another game, right? And so indies therefore can innovate. And then when the ones that hit big, you go, oh, after the fact, you're like, oh shit, like indies, like they can do it. But you're ignoring the 13,000 games a year that launch that no one ever hears about. Yeah. So there's a confirmation bias there. Yeah. But I will agree, the indies are where the exciting shit happens. So like, yes. I think the underlying thing is absolutely indie games. So, you know,
I think there's inherent risk in developing and undertaking an indie project. Yeah. And I think that automatically dissuades people who would be more conservative in their risk taking. And so I think that indie game development inherently draws people who are willing to take upon big risks.
Dude, this is on that note. Eric, have you gotten these yet? Every Epic employee who knows Unreal Engine well starts getting like indie company requests. I don't know. I'm assuming you've gotten this, Dan, where it's like, come join my company. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Anybody who like, and I would actually say that maybe once you get really good at Unreal Engine in general, it's actually not that difficult to get indie gigs. There's a lot of companies, but they don't pay that well, and there's a like high risk. But you'll be like, so I've never bit on any offer to do that, but part of it is I am risk adverse. I was like, I don't want to like go join a startup and like so I have a lot of respect for people who do that. A lot of people at Epic quit Epic. People like former Epic employees have quit to start indie companies or join indie companies. Yeah. And it's a very common thing, and I have a lot of respect. We as a result have lots of friends now, Dan and I, like in the industry, who've gone on and they're like, oh,
old colleagues.
Old colleagues that have started companies.
People who did very important things at the company, like big sort of figures in the company history and the Epic or Unreal Engine history or whatever.
And I have a lot of respect for that, but I have not been able to, you know, my own personal life conservatism hasn't reached that threshold, but maybe someday. but not
And
now.
I think it's important to appreciate that that's not a like value judgment on you as a person, right? Like I think even if the draw is there, even if you want to do that, there are so many other factors that you have to sort of calculate into that decision making process. And you're a family, you've got a family, you got people who depend on you. Like there's nothing shameful about
So
sticking with the man, Aaron.
yeah. I mean, there is and there isn't. You know,
Yeah, I know.
I have a fundamental contrarian vibe in me deep down, and I do, you know, Epic is an indie company. Fundamentally, this is actually something people don't know, is that, you know, or don't appreciate. Epic is an indie company. It's not. It is itself indie, making, you know. So it seems crazy. It's $1 billion. Indie doesn't mean scalar. You can have AAA funded level of funding for an indie company. When I joined Epic, it was absolutely indie. It felt indie. I think there was like 200 something people at Epic, maybe 300, which is a large indie, but it certainly felt like a small company. I don't even know how many people are in it now, and it does not feel small.
Know.
That's for sure.
It doesn't anymore now.
But SFX,
but it's smaller than you think. Like I think people like don't appreciate scale when, you know, we talk about big tech companies. It's like Microsoft has like 200,000 employees. Like Epic doesn't touch that at all. Like
it's on the. I don't know what it is. I have to look it up. It's like on the order of 5,000 to
something like that. It's like 4 or 5,000.
Which is still huge.
It's
go from
big,
a couple hundred to 5,000 is a very different company.
I was like 400 and something, 460 or something like that. I think it's like my employee number.
Right. Yeah, it started when I joined. It was at like a hockey puck,
a rise,
not hockey puck, but a hockey stick. The hockey stick is like sound effects guy says something interesting. Definitely notice more and more companies listing required skills as Unreal Engine, less F-Mod-wise. So I assume he means for audio positions.
Right.
So this is some insider info. Friend of mine, I'm not gonna say who, has a pretty nice resume, like of working on majorly valuable, like big games, as an audio director. I'll say as an audio director. I was hanging out with him, and he was like, you know, I just got this gig because I said that I was willing to learn Unreal Audio, and he got this like prestigious gig. He won out against all the competition just because he said he was real willing to learn Unreal Audio as an audio director. Like, because there were like 3 audio directors that they were looking at, right? And, you know, he was the one to this company. It's an indie company, but like well funded. And he got the gig over the other just because he said he was willing to learn Unreal Audio. Like, not that he even knew it, that he was willing to learn it. That blew my mind. I was like, what? That is a sea change, you know, when you get the gig over, you know, just because you're open-minded. Like, that's a difference, you know. So just FYI, if you're out there listening, you know, this is this is like our, what's the word? It's preaching to the choir. You guys are this audience is preaching to the choir, but
probably
But, you know, FYI, it is changing. I would say existing established companies less, but if it's a new startup, typically I think you're going to be going like, come on.
Well, I think again to the sort of personality thing, like I don't know if I could see all the things from the outside. If I were on the outside of Epic, I don't know if I could watch the launch of UE5 and not be interested in like what's going on there in audio, because it was like very different from the like landscape at the time, you know, in terms of like audio production.
That's why I'm here.
Brian has a story of Tim Sweeney. Tim is a very normal person. He's just a guy that walks around North Carolina. He's very chill. I've hung out with him. I should probably not.
No,
I shouldn't tell my Tim Sweeney story. But Tim is awesome. I would say he's as CEOs go, one of the coolest CEOs I can imagine.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying. Like, you can say what you want. The dude is like just a guy that's trying to do cool shit, which I can appreciate with, you know. You can disagree with anything. He's just trying to do cool shit.
what I think is, and I don't want to misrepresent him at all, but what I think is interesting from someone on the inside is that all of my sort of closed experiences with Tim Sweeney are identical to his public one. Like the way he presents himself in interviews and
exactly
like
right.
Twitch or whatever, or sorry, not Twitter or whatever. Like that's basically what he's like.
Yeah. Absolutely. I don't think he could be anything but himself. Is what the vibe.
Yeah.
Anyways, and the other thing, I've been in meetings with him, technical meetings, because he gets pretty hands-on with the verse stuff, and he's awesome. Like he actually is legit. Like he's like any other engineer. Like he knows his stuff, basically. Like I'm like, oh, I get it. I get why Epic is like. I would say that the company flows from his flows from his personality, and I think in a great way. Overall, I'm just being positive.
But it is a huge. I mean, it is important. Like I think it's important to acknowledge it's a huge collaboration. Everything Epic does is a massive collaboration with a lot of really amazing people. And so it's a fun place to work because of that. In fact, one of the things that I really enjoyed was just like that feeling of like not being the smartest person in the room, like just feeling like oh, there's so many brilliant people that I'm around.
That's a wonderfully simultaneously humbling and arrogant thing to say.
Yes, I know. I know.
I'm so tired of just walking into a room and being like, you guys are all idiots. And then I came to Epic and I was like, whoa, I'm not the only smart person anymore.
This is true. This is you're getting some insight into like who I am as a person, and it's not all
but
good.
You know, I will say it is humble. Like it is, you know, because what really happened is you walked into the room with me and you realized
that's true.
That's just me saying purely arrogant statement. Honestly, when I walk into the room with both you and Eric and many other people, I'm humbled. Frankly, so
it's exciting. I think it's stimulating when you're surrounded by people who are really excited about what they're doing, that really excited to engage in the space. I don't know, like the development of the future, right? Thinking about that is really exciting. And being around people who can just like do it, like just it's one thing to have the idea, right? But it's another to actually execute it.
Yeah, true. Well,
yeah. This was let's call it is definitely over time. But we got 3 people, so 3 hours. I don't know if it works out. Whatever.
We had 1 hour of Eric talking. 1 hour of me. No, it was really
that's exactly how it was.
90%. Dan and I talking.
But yeah, so I mean, thank you, everyone, for showing up. Thank you, Eric and Aaron, for.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
The chat,
and thanks for all the kind comments. There's been some really nice comments.
It has been a really awesome chat tonight.
This was y'all. Thank you for showing up and keep on keeping on. We're trying our best out there. Come and hang out in our random places that we hang out and ask questions.
Wherever the closest random place to you.
Keep on keeping on. This is a good group. And in the future, if you catch this stream and you weren't here for the live thing, you can always come and hang out too.
Links in the video description.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
See you.
Bye-bye.